little nervous. Sun Shifeng was the most enthusiastic. After settling down, she started chatting with the young man. Not long after the car started, she had already found out where the man was from, where he was going, and what he did for a living. She even asked him if he had a boyfriend at the end of the conversation. The young man was asked so many questions that his face was about to smoke. Qin Yan put a mat on the bed, Lin Wanshu untied the straps and put Hing down. The little guy came down. He turned over flexibly, lay on the bed, raised his head high, and looked around curiously with a pair of round eyes. Miao Miao saw her brother coming down. She took off her shoes and climbed onto Lin Wanshu's bed. Fortunately, the soft sleeper bed is big enough, and 2 adults can sit on the edge, and 2 children can sit inside without feeling crowded. As soon as Miao Miao came up, she also imitated Heng Heng and lay in front of him, calling brother and brother. Heng Heng was also very happy to see his sister, and he kept making ee-oh-oh sounds. The 2 siblings asked and answered each other questions. The young man on the upper bunk opposite could no longer bear Sun Shifeng's questioning. Not knowing whether he was hiding from someone, he got off the bunk and went out. No one was in the seats anymore, but Sun Shifeng couldn't help but sigh. What a nice guy. It's a pity he is far away, otherwise I would definitely be a matchmaker for him. Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Mom, matchmaking is not something you can do casually. You can tell at first glance that she comes from a well-off family and is knowledgeable and educated. Where can she meet a girl with similar conditions? After all, can ordinary people buy soft sleeper tickets? Hearing this, Sun Shifeng smiled awkwardly. Haha, I'm just saying it casually. As the old saying goes, a pot fits its lid. The girls she knows are all from the countryside and are indeed not worthy of him. The mother-in-law and daughter-in-law chatted for a while, and then Qin Yan went out to get hot water. The train rattled along slowly, and Lin Wanshu propped up her chin, staring out the window in a daze. In her previous life, she spent a long time in the Red Star Brigade and only moved into the city after 1985. Later, due to her busy work, she rarely returned to the team. After her rebirth, she didn't stay in the team for a single day and went straight to Lan County. Perhaps too many things had happened since her rebirth, and now that she was going back to the place she had been away from for a long time, she felt inexplicably complicated. Just as she was daydreaming, suddenly, a small claw grabbed her clothes. Lin Wanshu turned her head and saw Heng Heng had turned over and lay down next to her at some point. The 2 chubby little legs were kicking and the little hands were pulling her clothes and trying to stuff them into her mouth. What's wrong? Is Heng Heng hungry? Lin Wanshu said as she picked up the little guy. As soon as the baby was in her arms, the little head buried in her chest, making an oh-oh-oh sound. Hungry indeed. He is still young and drinks milk all day long. He is not hungry at all. I only changed his diaper at the station just now and didn't feed him. Judging from the time, he should be hungry now. But this is a public place after all, and a gay man may come in at any time. Lin Wanshu cannot lift up her clothes and chest feed the baby in public. Just when I was looking for a coat to cover myself, Qin Yan came back. Perhaps seeing Heng Heng pulling her clothes, the man walked over quickly. I washed the bottle while I was getting the hot water. You can comfort him first while I prepare some milk powder. As he spoke, he took out the bag under the table and opened it, revealing 7 or 8 bags of milk powder. Lin Wanshu. When did he pack the milk powder? How come she didn't know anything about it? When Sun Shifeng saw that her son was carrying so much milk powder, she couldn't help but mutter something. Wanshu is on vacation now, so she can just chest feed. Why would she need to bring so much milk powder? This must cost dozens of dollars. What a waste. She couldn't think about it. The moment she thought about it, she felt pain in her flesh. Milk powder has good nutritional value. Children will be smarter after eating it. Qin Yan spoke seriously as he prepared the milk skillfully. When Sun Shifeng heard that it was nutritious and could make children smarter, she was immediately speechless. There was nothing else to say, because her little grandson was indeed smarter than any other child she had ever seen. When my grandson was just born, I didn't feed him enough milk powder, but he still opened his eyes very early. Which child in the village doesn't open his eyes after 3 days? Delay is normal. Later, she fed him milk powder strictly according to the ratio, and he grew white and tender all of a sudden, just like a balloon. It's been more than 3 months now, and he can still respond when you talk to him. How can the children in the village be so smart? It can be seen that feeding with formula is really better than chest milk. Lin Wanshu was both angry and amused when she saw Qin Yan seriously fooling her mother-in-law. However, seeing that her mother-in-law was no longer concerned about the milk powder issue, she couldn't help but admire his approach. To be honest, half of the credit goes to him for the good relationship she gets along with her mother-in-law. Whenever her mother-in-law questioned her, Qin Yan would always take all the blame for her without hesitation and then go back to appease both sides. This is also the reason why she has lived with her mother-in-law for more than a year without any conflicts. Along the way, Lin Wanshu didn't have the chance to chest feed once. Qin Yan seemed determined not to let the baby drink chest milk. Every time Hung Hing cried, he would always come down from the upper bunk to fetch hot water and make milk powder. Lin Wanshu was afraid that he would be tired, but it was obvious that she was worrying too much. After sitting on the train for 2 days and 2 nights, and changing trains once in the middle, Lin Wanshu was almost exhausted, but he still looked energetic. You can't refuse to accept it. The train arrived in Ling County at 7 in the morning. As soon as she got off the train, a cold wind blew, and Lin Wanshu couldn't help but shiver. After getting used to the climate in Yunnan province, it's really cold when I return to my hometown. Ling County is located in the central region, neither in the south nor in the north. It had just rained, and the cold wind blew mixed with moisture, as if it could chill you to the bone. Even though Lin Wanshu was wearing a military coat, the wind still made her cheeks hurt. Those who were not wearing such thick clothes nearby were gritting their teeth and shivering in the cold wind. Seeing that she was wearing a military coat, people passing by couldn't help but look at her with envy. Military coats are not only warm but also prestigious.
Who doesn't want one?
Lin Wanshu carried Hing Hing on her back and got off the car first, holding Miao Miao's hand. Qin Yan and Sun Shifeng were responsible for carrying the luggage. Maybe because the new year is approaching, there are too many people at the station. Some people were getting off the bus, and some were getting on. At a glance, the bus was packed with people. Fortunately, Qin Yan and the other man acted quickly and brought down all the luggage in no time. The 2 bags Qin Yan carried were local specialties, each bag weighing nearly 100 kilograms. Sun Shifeng was carrying a light sack in one hand and 2 small bags in the other. Getting off the train, they followed the crowd and moved out of the train station little by little. As soon as I reached the door, I heard Qin Hua's excited voice.
Mom, I'm
here. Seeing her eldest son waving his hands vigorously in the distance, Sun Shifeng was extremely excited. If there weren't so many people in front, she would have wanted to fly over. After finally squeezing out, Sun Shifeng took Qin Hua's hand and asked about the situation at home. Qin Hua did not show any impatience and responded to all of them one by one. After he had finally finished speaking, he immediately went to see the baby on Lin Wanshu's back. This is Yiheng, right? Blood relationship is so wonderful. Although he is just a nephew, Qin Hua couldn't help but feel a surge of love in his heart when he saw Xiao Hingheng. As expected of a child from the Qin family, he looks really energetic. Yes, big brother, this is Yiheng, Lin Wanshu said with a smile, and then turned the little guy's head to Qin Hua and introduced him to him. Hingheng, this is your uncle. Come and say heko to your uncle. Hingheng was wrapped in a thick cotton coat and a woolen hat on his head, revealing a rosy little face. I don't know whether he understood what his mother said or not, but he kicked his little feet and babbled something, and it looked like he was really saying heko. Qin Hua saw it. He was surprised and happy. Oh, this kid is really smart. He can understand what adults say at such a young age. In this day and age, we can't even get enough food to eat, let alone talk about nutrition. Why a child cannot open his eyes when he is born is purely because of malnutrition. If the food women eat is not nutritious, how good can the chest milk they give to their children be? While Hingheng was in Lin Wanshu's stomach, he not only absorbed enough nutrition, but also drank spiritual spring water every day, so he naturally looked smart and clever. Of course, Our Hingheng will definitely have a great future. Sun Shifeng loves this little grandson very much. It's not just because he's good-looking but more because he's smarter than other kids. Hearing Sun Shifeng's words, Qin Hua not only did not feel jealous, but also said with a cheerful face, "Hey, I believe this." Looking at Yiheng's face, he will definitely be a very important person in the future. For him, no matter whether it is a son or a nephew, as long as he has abilities in the future, he will be the pride of their Qin family. Qin Yan saw that they were going to keep praising him, so he said, "Let's go back first. Don't let his wife and daughter get cold." Before getting off the car, Xiao Miao had been tied up into a small ball by Lin Wanshu. She wasn't cold now, but it was a little inconvenient for her to move. The adults were saying so she just looked at the people coming and going with curiosity. Qin Hua quickly said, "Oh, yes, let's go back first. This darn weather is too cold." As he spoke, he picked up the sack on the ground and led the way. Wang Shun is already waiting outside. Wang Shun is the tractor driver in the village. He was the one who brought Lin Wanshu here to take the train. The luggage was taken away by Qin Hua, and Sun Shifeng had nothing in her hands, so she simply picked up Miao Miao. The group followed Qin Hua all the way out of the train station. The area outside the train station is still bare. There are some weeds in the summer, but nothing in the winter. There were several tractors and quite a few bicycles parked in the open space. It was obvious that they were also here to pick up people. Who else could it be but Wang Shun standing next to the car parked at the end? Seeing them coming out, Wang Shun hurried over in small steps. "Brother Qin, you're back." He rubbed his hands together and greeted shyly. There was no way. Although they were in the same team and had played together when they were young, Qin Yan had become successful now. He felt inexplicably awkward standing in front of him. However, to Lin Wanshu's surprise, Qin Yan, who was usually aloof and taciturn, smiled gently after hearing Wang Shun's words. "Well, come back to celebrate the new year." Seeing his friendly smile, Wang Shun suddenly felt flattered. "Hey, it's good to be back. It's more fun to celebrate the new year when you're back." He hasn't been back for 3 years. I heard that he has been promoted to deputy head of the group. That's the deputy head of the group. Ordinary people like them can't even see the town secretary, let alone higher-level officials. When he thought about how he had played with him a lot when he was a child. After a few pleasantries, Wang Shun helped load the luggage onto the tractor. There is no tarpaulin behind the tractor, and the wind is only blocked by a baffle on the back of the cab. Qin Yan placed the soft sack behind the baffle and then helped Lin Wanshu, her son, and Sun Shifeng sit down. He and Qin Hua sat on both sides of the tractor. Qin Hua sat next to Sun Shifeng, holding her arm with one hand to prevent her from being thrown out if she lost her balance. Qin Yan not only supported Lin Wanshu, but also stretched out his long legs to protect the mother and her 2 children firmly in the small corner. After Wang Shun saw that everyone was seated firmly, he picked up the handle and started the tractor. The lump of iron made a rumbling, roaring sound. Lin Wanshu thought Hingheng would be scared and was about to cover his ears. But she saw the little guy kicking his legs happily with an excited look on his face. Xiao Miao was probably tired from riding the train. She hugged her father's legs with both hands, and her little head was leaning against Lin Wanshu, looking drowsy. Lin Wanshu's military coat was not buttoned up. Seeing that Miao Miao wanted to sleep, she opened the coat and covered her tightly. The tractor rattled along the winding dirt road. Has no shock-absorbing function at all, and even the slightest bump can throw people flying. Fortunately, with Qin Yan's protection, she could sit safely. But this day is really too cold. Even if you wear warm clothes, the cold wind can still find gaps to get in. The wind was so strong that people could not help but shiver. Qin Yan saw this. He felt so distressed that he leaned over and held her in his arms. In such a cold weather, every second in the car is torture. I don't know how long it drove, but suddenly, the tractor stopped. Then, a familiar voice was heard. "Brother Wang, I also want to go back to the team. Can you give me a ride?" "It's He Man Xiang." Lin Wanshu was a little surprised that she met her as soon as she came back. He turned his head and looked towards the rear of the car. Soon, A figure wearing a thin cotton coat, holding a child about 7 or 8 months old, was struggling to climb onto the tractor. Perhaps because her clothes were too thin, she was shivering from the cold. Even his lips were a little purple. He Manxiang endured the biting cold wind, shivering as she finally got into the car with her son Jinkai. Just as she was about to walk behind the windshield to sit down, she was suddenly met with a face as beautiful as a peach. When their eyes met, He Manxiang felt as if she was struck by lightning. "Lin Wanshu?" She screamed in shock. "She's back?" Lin Wanshu curled her lips slightly and nodded at her. "Manxiang, long time no see." As she spoke, she glanced curiously at the child in her arms. She didn't know if it was because of her preconceived notions, but she felt that this child really didn't look like Zhao Mingyuan at all. When He Manxiang heard this familiar voice, she finally confirmed that the person in front of her was really Lin Wanshu, and it was not her illusion. In an instant, her face turned blue and white, which was very ugly. Why is she back? And still looks so glamorous? "Mingyuan, why haven't you sat down yet?"
I'm going to drive.
Wang Shun was driving a tractor in the front just now, and his hands and feet were numb from the cold. "I just wish I could go home right away and make a fire to warm myself." Seeing He Manxiang standing there in a daze and not sitting down, he urged her impatiently. After seeing Lin Wanshu's radiant face, He Manxiang couldn't help but feel ashamed and embarrassed. It is obvious that she was so embarrassed and miserable in the past, with not enough food to eat and warm clothes to wear, but now she is prettier and more glamorous than me. Such embarrassment made her want to disappear right there. So how could she be willing to sit in the same carriage with Lin Wanshu? But my son Jinkai in my arms kept crying. If she gave up taking the bus and chose to walk home, the journey would take at least 1 or 2 hours. Mingyuan's wife? Seeing that she still didn't move, Wang Shun was a little angry. "Do you want to take the car? If not, get off quickly. I'm freezing and don't have time to wait for you here." The weather was too cold, and he was so frozen that he didn't have the patience to talk to her properly. He Manxiang bit her lip and then slowly sat down. "She can't go down. My son is already sick. If he continues to be exposed to cold wind, his condition will definitely be worse when he returns." Even for the sake of the children, she had to sit in the car. He Manxiang sat down on the bench on Qinhua's side. She felt that her life had never been so dark. How could this happen? She was clearly reborn and even married Zhao Mingyuan first, but her life was worse than her previous life. Lin Wanshu glanced at He Manxiang's changing expression and couldn't help but be amazed. In the end, she ignored it, retracted her gaze, and hid back in Qin Yan's arms. It was really cold today. Qin Yan helped her adjust her scarf and hat to make sure the cold wind couldn't find any gaps to get in. After doing all this, he hugged her again, trying his best to prevent the wind from reaching the three of them. The man's actions of caring and loving were so natural, as if he did this many times in his daily life. He Manxiang felt it was extremely dazzling when she saw Lin Wanshu, who was being tightly protected. Especially when the biting cold wind blew, her eyes turned red.
Why?
Why didn't Qin Yan die? Obviously, Lin Wanshu should be a pitiful widow now. But now this man is not only alive, but has also been promoted to deputy head of the group. How could she not vomit blood?
Wow.
I don't know if my son Jinkai in my arms was cold or uncomfortable. He kept crying. He Manxiang had no choice but to quickly pull the cotton clothes covering him tighter. Yes, she has a son, the son of the future richest man. Before the reform and opening up, Zhao Mingyuan had not yet made great achievements. Once the policies are relaxed in the future, prosperous days will be ahead. At that time, Lin Wanshu's man still had to go to the battlefield. Who will have the last laugh is still unknown. Hugging the child tightly, He Manxiang kept comforting herself in her heart, and then she slowly calmed down. However, the weather was too cold, and she had to give her thick cotton coat to her son. Even when she thought of the bright future, she could hardly hold on. Especially the contrast with Lin Wanshu is too tragic. Her son had a high fever and kept convulsing last night. The barefoot doctor in the team said he couldn't treat him and asked her to send him to the commune. He Manxiang begged Zhao Mingyuan to accompany her, but the man was sleeping like a dead pig and ignored her. In the end, she had no choice but to grit her teeth and walk to the commune with her son in the dark. I stayed in the hospital for observation after the drip for a whole night and just got home now. Who would have thought that Lin Wanshu would come back? He Manxiang tried hard to force herself not to look at the couple, but her heart felt like it was being gnawing at by ants, and she felt painful and uncomfortable. Sun Shifeng asked with concern, Manxiang, why are you taking the baby out alone? The baby is crying like this. Is he feeling unwell? Where is your Mingyuan? Were clearly words of concern, but He Manxiang felt as if she was stabbed in the heart. She gritted her teeth and forced a smile. Mingyuan has something to do. She didn't even want to say that Zhao Mingyuan had to go to work. After all, one is a peasant working in the fields, and the other is a senior officer in the army. The contrast is too tragic. Even though she knew that Zhao Mingyuan would become the richest man in the future, He Manxiang couldn't help feeling awkward and embarrassed at this moment. Especially since the whole family was dressed warmly, but they were wearing thin clothes and shivering in the cold wind. Hearing her say this, Sun Shifeng said with a look of disapproval, what could be more important than a wife and a baby? You have only been married for a few years, right? Why would Mingyuan treat you like this? Seeing her expression that said, what on earth do you like about this second-rate guy? He Manxiang felt so upset that her heart ached. Reluctantly suppressing her anger, she gritted her teeth and said, don't worry about this, Auntie. Our Mingyuan is a man who does great things. How can he have time to take care of such trivial matters at home? From now on, he will be the man in charge of $1 trillion group, and the money he earns every day is a sum that these people can't even imagine in their lifetime. You have no idea how powerful he is. He Manxiang couldn't help but said angrily. She had watched an interview with Zhao Mingyuan and knew better than anyone how capable this man was. He is just temporarily poor now. In time, he will surely become very successful. Sun Shifeng looked at He Manxiang with some sympathy as she looked very excited. Poor girl. Could it be that she has been frozen to death? Why is she talking nonsense? Unable to help herself, she muttered to Lin Wanshu. Lin Wanshu say? She could only wish in her heart that He Manxiang's dream would not be shattered so quickly. The tractor continued to move, da-da-da, but this time no one spoke. Manxiang endured the cold, lifted up her clothes and fed him. Chest feeding in public is a very normal thing, whether in this era or in the 1990s. Most people wouldn't think there's anything wrong with it, let alone think of anything wrong. What's more, He Manxiang worked in a special profession in her previous life and had no sense of shame. Therefore, when she was chest feeding, she never hesitated to lift her clothes high. This time was the same. She lifted up her clothes and quickly fed her son. But as she was feeding, her eyes involuntarily looked in the direction of Qin Yan. It wouldn't matter if she didn't look at it, but once she did, she couldn't help feeling sour in her heart. She knew that Qin Yan was handsome before, but his personality was too cold and his aura was too chilling, which made her not even have the courage to peek at him. It just so happened that a group of educated youth came to the team. Some of the male educated youth were handsome and elegant, some spoke in a pleasant and funny way, and most importantly, they were city people. Not only were they well-dressed, but they also had a cultural atmosphere that country people did not have. Therefore, He Manxiang was dazzled by the male educated youth throughout her teenage years and had no time to pay attention to Qin Yan. Until she suffered a heavy loss at the hands of Qin Zihui in her previous life that she came to her senses. After her rebirth, she focused all her attention on Zhao Mingyuan and had no time to care about anything else. What's more, Qin Yan was a short-lived man in his previous life, and she never considered taking him down. At this moment, seeing him looking down at the woman in his arms with a gentle expression, she inexplicably felt a trace of regret in her heart. If she was reborn and not obsessed with marrying Zhao Mingyuan, but instead found Qin Yan in advance, would she now be the captain's wife that everyone envied? After all, she was reborn, so she could call Qin Yan back home in advance to prevent him from being killed by a sheik. The more she thought about it, the more He Manxiang regretted it. A moment, I felt like I had missed out on $10,000. Not sure whether it was intentional or unintentional, she straightened her exposed chests. However, the man sitting opposite seemed to have no idea that there was someone here, and he never looked over here from beginning to end. In his eyes that only had Lin Wanshu in them made He Manxiang feel even more uncomfortable. If she had known that he was such a loving wife, why would she look for Zhao Mingyuan? Although having a lot of money can make life very comfortable, being an official's wife doesn't seem to be much worse than the wife of the richest man. The tractor finally returned to the Red Star Brigade in the bleak, cold wind. He Manxiang was sitting at the back, so logically she should have been the first to get off the bus. But she didn't get up for a long time and still maintained the posture of feeding the child. Her body subconsciously assumed the seductive postures that she had learned in her previous life. While feeding, she kept a vague glance at Qin Yan from the corner of her eye. However, to her dismay, Qin Yan was only concerned with helping Lin Wanshu get out of the car and still didn't look in her direction. If Sun Shifeng hadn't been talking to her just now, He Manxiang would have wondered if she had become transparent. How could he ignore me so completely? Qin Yan jumped lightly and jumped off the tractor gracefully. Then he turned around and picked up Xiao Miao first. Then, he carried Lin Wanshu and Heng Heng out of the car together. Finally, he reached out and helped his elderly mother. Old mother Sun Shifeng. Do you have to be so double-standard? When He Manxiang saw this, her teeth were almost broken.
Why?
Why is Lin Wanshu so lucky? Not only did she marry the richest man in her previous life and enjoy all the wealth and glory, but in this life she married a man who loved her so much. She is unwilling to accept this. How exactly am I worse than her? The tractor stopped under the locust tree at the entrance of the village. As the new year was approaching, there was not much work to do in the team, and most of the members were idle. Only a small number of people signed up to repair water conservancy projects. Although this job pays a lot of work, it is extremely physically demanding. Generally, only those who are physically strong or whose families are extremely poor will sign up. When the members don't have to go to work, they gather in groups of 3 or 4 to warm themselves by the fire. Seeing Qin Yan coming back, they all surrounded him. Qin Yan, you've finally come home for the new year. I haven't seen you for several years. Who was familiar with him came up and patted his shoulder, saying with a look of joy on his face. Qin Yan, I heard that you were seriously injured last year. Are you okay? An elderly man asked with concern. Although Qin Yan didn't talk much, he answered every question, and his attitude was very humble. This made the villagers even more enthusiastic. The women surrounded Lin Wanshu and asked her questions out of curiosity. Wanshu, I heard that you're a doctor now, right? Wanshu, I saw you in the newspaper. You are really amazing. Our team hasn't produced anyone as promising as you in all these years. Is this your son? He's so handsome. He looks just like his father. Enthusiastic words came one after another, and Lin Wanshu didn't know whose reply to give first. In the end, it was Sun Shifeng who rescued her. It's too cold, and the baby is still young and can't stand the cold. My second daughter-in-law will stay for 2 or 3 months this time, and we'll have plenty of opportunities to chat later. After hearing this, everyone felt embarrassed to surround him anymore. After all, it was really cold that day. Lin Wanshu finally walked out of the enthusiastic crowd and couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. After saying goodbye to everyone politely, she carried Heng Heng on her back and held Miao Miao's hand and walked home. Qin Yan chatted with the villagers for a few words, and without staying any longer, he followed with his luggage. Although the Qin family had all left, the people who had been watching did not disperse. Instead, they all gathered together to discuss Qin Yan and Lin Wanshu. After all, one of them is an officer and the other is a doctor. They are not only respected but also have salaries. Who wouldn't be envious? He Manxiang was still sitting on the tractor holding Jinkai, listening to everyone's envious words, and she felt even more regretful in her heart. If I had known earlier, she had known earlier that she would be reborn, she would have chosen Qin Yan. Unfortunately, There is no medicine for regret in the world. Since she has already chosen Zhao Mingyuan, she will just grit her teeth and bear it. At least he will have endless money in the future. Pursing her lips, He Manxiang then hugged Jinkai and climbed out of the car, trembling. Coincidentally, Wang Yongsheng was also passing by the village entrance. When he saw He Manxiang getting off the car with the child in her arms, his eyes lit up and he walked forward. "Manxiang, why are you coming back so early?" As he said this, he wanted to reach out and help her. But He Manxiang glared at him fiercely. "Stay away from me. I don't need your help." He Manxiang had complicated feelings towards this man. Whenever she encountered setbacks from Zhao Mingyuan, he would always appear by her side in time. And every time after accepting his care and kindness, He Manxiang felt regretful. She was afraid that Zhao Mingyuan would misunderstand her and divorce her, which would be a loss for her. Therefore, after glaring at Wang Yongsheng, she quickly left with her son in her arms. Wang Yongsheng looked at the two figures, one big and one small, gradually going away, his eyes full of loss. They were his woman and child, but he didn't even have the qualifications to talk to her openly. Just thinking about it makes me feel so depressed. But he couldn't say anything, and in the end, he could only leave dejectedly. As soon as the others left, the people who were roasting by the fire under the locust tree in the distance began to talk. "What do you think is the relationship between Wang Yongsheng and He Manxiang? Why do I always see him around her? It is said that if you don't want others to know, don't do it. There is no wall that is impenetrable in this world." Although He Manxiang always looked left and right to make sure there was no one around before accepting anything from Wang Yongsheng. But Wang Yongsheng sent gifts too many times. It is inevitable that someone will see you. Who knows? People say Zhao Mingyuan's son doesn't look like him. What do you think is going on? Romantic gossip is always the most attractive. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone couldn't help but let their imagination run wild with excitement. He Manxiang was unaware of the rumors behind her. She returned home shivering in the biting cold wind. But she didn't expect that as soon as she entered the door, she would be greeted by a gloomy face. "Where the heck have you been so early in the morning? There are so many things to do at home, and if you don't do them, do you want me to do them? It's my mother-in-law, Lu Jihua." He Manxiang thought that now that she had given birth to a son, her life would be better than before. But the truth is not like that at all. Lu Jihua didn't care whether she gave birth to a son or not, and she would torture her whenever she got the chance. She was sent to work in the fields before she even had a few days' confinement. Not to mention weekdays, if she dared to take a break, Lu Jihua would definitely scold her. If Zhao Mingyuan helped her, but he ignored her completely and let her mother-in-law bully her. He Manxiang also thought about quitting her job, but if she really dared not to work, Lu Jihua would really not give her food. It is unreasonable for a woman not to work, and it is normal for her mother-in-law not to give her food. No one will speak for her. If she dared to report this matter back to her parents' home, what would await her would not be support from them, but rather disgust. They disliked her for bringing shame to the He family. Therefore, after dealing with Lu Jihua for so long, He Manxiang has witnessed how powerful she is. At this moment, just seeing her face darken, she couldn't help but tremble in her heart. Her lips moved and she stammered, "Mom. I wasn't lazy. Jinkai had a fever at night, so I took him to the commune for an 4 drip and just came back now. The child had a fever in the early morning." He Manxiang went to knock on her mother-in-law's door, but maybe she was sleeping too deeply and ignored her. In the end, she had no choice but to send it there alone. Heard that her grandson was sick, the first thing she did was not to ask if the child was well, but to curse him. "What do you do for a living? If you can't even take care of a child, what's the point of having you?" He Manxiang had been in shock and fear for the entire night because of her child's illness. She was already feeling very aggrieved, and now she was being scolded. Her eyes suddenly turned red. I didn't mean it. As the child's mother, does she want to see him sick? Bah. Why are you crying? How dare you cry? Why don't you go and fix the roof for me? It's leaking since it rained last night. Lu Jihua spat viciously. She then seemed to split apart, and looked at her grandson Zhao Jingkai with a kind smile on her face. "Oh, my dear grandson, come and let Grandma hug you. Your mother is not a good person. She took care of my Jingkai and made him sick. Grandma will cook you some egg porridge later to nourish your body." Heman Xiang has not closed her eyes since she woke up in the early morning. It was freezing cold, but she still walked to the commune in the dark, one step deep and one step shallow, in order to take her son to see a doctor. She had worked so hard for so long, but Lu Jihua spoke badly about her to her son in front of her. In an instant, grievance and anger surged into her heart, and she hugged Jingkai tightly and refused to let go. This is her lifeblood, and she will inherit a fortune worth hundreds of billions in the future. If I'm brainwashed by the old woman and she no longer likes me? Seeing that she dared to resist her, Lu Jihua became furious. He raised his hand and slapped her hard several times. "You jerk! Let go and give me your grandson. I don't need you to take care of him." Heman Xiang received several heavy slaps on her arms, and she couldn't take it anymore, so she let go. Lu Jihua quickly snatched her grandson away and said, "Pooh, again. You jinx. My grandson will be infected with your bad luck if he stays with you for too long. Go and fix the roof for me. If I find that you haven't fixed it when I come out later, you can't eat." After saying that, she carried Jingkai in her arms and walked away, calling him a good grandson. Heman Xiang was left standing there, tears streaming down her face. That's her child. How could she do this to her? Also, shouldn't men be the ones to fix the roof? There are men in the house, so why ask her to fix it? Heman Xiang walked back to her room feeling aggrieved and resentful. As soon as I entered the room, I saw Zhao Mingyuan wearing his new cotton-padded jacket, and his hair was combed neatly. He actually looked quite like he did in his previous life. Heman Xiang was stunned where she stood. He looked at Zhao Mingyuan with a somewhat infatuated look. This is the future richest man, and he is her man now. It's just a little injustice. What's the big deal? Soon, Heman Xiang, who had comforted herself, walked forward gracefully, twisting her waist. "Mingyuan, where are you going dressed so neatly?" Heman Xiang's voice is as gentle as it can be, and her figure is as soft as it can be. If this happened in her previous life, she would have charmed a lot of men. But she was tortured too harshly by Lu Jihua in this life. Not only was she skinny, but her skin was also yellow and black. In addition, she had just been blown by a cold wind, so her face was purple and her hair was messy. How could she look beautiful at all? What's more, Zhao Mingyuan doesn't like women at all. He felt disgusted by her hypocritical look, so how could he have any sympathy for her? "Where I go is none of your business. Just do your job well." After saying that, he flicked the non-existent dust off his sleeves and walked out with a happy look on his face. Heman Xiang looked at his leaving back and suddenly thought of Qin Yan, who had just taken good care of Lin Wanshu in the car. Suddenly, her heart felt like it was soaked in bitter water. He'd be nicer to himself? Not to mention being as good as Qin Yan. At least it should be 1/3 as good, right? Heman Xiang endured all the discomfort when she thought of the future glory and wealth. It doesn't matter. She is the future wife of the richest man. What does this little grievance matter? Finally, Heman Xiang worked hard to get a ladder. She didn't care that it was cold outside, and it had just rained, so everything was wet and slippery. She climbed onto the roof to fix the leak. On the other side, Lin Wanshu and others had just returned home. As soon as I entered the yard, I saw Lu Saixia holding a chicken and preparing to cut its throat. There were 3 little boys standing next to her, tallest to shortest, staring with wide eyes, curiously watching her kill the chicken. The oldest one among them was the first to discover Meow Meow, and his eyes immediately lit up. "Sister. It's Meow Meow's sister." Upon hearing this, the other 2 little boys turned their heads reflexively. When we found out it was really Meow Meow, we were so excited. "Sister, you are finally back." The second child, Qini Wu, reacted the fastest. He roared and ran towards Meow Meow happily. The eldest brother Qin Yuan was also very excited. He was of a steady temperament and would not do anything so outrageous. He just walked forward quickly and looked at Miao Miao with a happy face. The third child, Qin Yixuan, is only 1 year older than Miao Miao and hardly remembers having a younger sister. However, when he saw his 2 brothers running over, he followed them happily. Miao Miao was very young when she left home, and there were so many children playing with her in the staff quarters that she had completely forgotten about her cousins. She looked at this, then at that, and finally asked with a puzzled look on her face,
Who are you?
As soon as these words were spoken, the brothers' hearts were instantly broken. Miao Miao looked at her brothers' sad and disbelieving expressions and quickly realized that what she had said was wrong. She looked up at Lin Wanshu for help. Mother. Lin Wanshu didn't know whether to laugh or cry, so she introduced them to her. This is your eldest brother, this is your second brother, and this is your third brother. When you were a child, your eldest and second brothers always carried you on their backs when you went out to play. Have you forgotten? She was in the team, Lin Wanshu also went to the fields with everyone else, and Miao Miao was mostly played with by her 2 brothers. Miao Miao anymore, but she was a kind baby. After her mother finished her introductions, she called out to everyone one by one. Big brother, second brother, third brother. Hearing her soft voice, calling them clearly, the broken hearts of the brothers were instantly mended. Qin Yuan even said with a look of surprise, Sister, you can talk so much now. Qin Yiwu didn't say anything and directly grabbed Miao Miao's hand. Come on, sister, your brother will take you out to play. Miao Miao is also a community veteran. When she heard about going out to play, she happily followed along. How could she feel unfamiliar at all? Lu Saixia walked over with a chicken in one hand and the kitchen knife in the other hand, not even put down, looking excited. Second brother, Wanshu, you are finally back. Dad has been talking about you for several days. Over the past year, the 2 sisters-in-law have sent gifts to each other, and their relationship has become even closer than before. Wanshu was also very happy to see Lu Saixia at this moment. Hey, sister-in-law, we are back. The family was so happy to see each other after a long separation that they didn't even go into the main room, but just talked about the past in the yard. In the end, Qin Yan was afraid that his wife would catch a cold, so he interrupted everyone and took Lin Wanshu back to his room. However, after entering the house, Lin Wanshu couldn't help but shudder, feeling that the house was even colder than outside. Lu Saixia handed the chicken to her husband to kill and followed him into the house carrying her luggage. I've cleaned the room and I washed the quilts a few days ago. They're in the closet. You can just take them out and put them on. Lin Wanshu entered the house. She found it exceptionally clean. Not only was there not a single cobweb, there wasn't even a speck of dust on the table or the stools. It shows how attentive the cleaner is.
Thank you, sister-in-law.
I am sorry to trouble you. Lin Wanshu looked at the bright and clean room, feeling extremely grateful. Hey, we're all family. Why are you being so polite? Lu Saixia waved her hand and put the luggage bag on the table in her room. You guys clean up first, I'll go cook, I'll call you when I'm done. She is a very efficient person, and she is always quick and decisive in both speaking and doing things. After saying that she was going to cook, she turned around and left without saying anything else. Qin Yan had already opened the cabinet and took out the bedding, quilt covers and quilt cores. The bed is being made now. The army, as housekeeping, is very strict. Not only must the SP ped be fast, but also the quality. Qin Yan was indeed a hexagonal warrior. Lin Wanshu suspected that there was nothing he couldn't do. Neatly spreading the bedding layer by layer on the bed, he began to put on the quilt. The quilt cores of this era were not as soft and warm as those of later generations. Instead, they were very heavy. In the past, when Qin Yan was not at home, Lin Wanshu was exhausted after making a quilt by herself. But such a heavy thing still seemed weightless in his hands. I don't know how he did it. He just stacked the quilt core and quilt cover together, but after he rolled it a few times and opened it again, the quilt core was actually inside. Lin Wanshu looked at the quilt he had put on with a look of surprise. How did you do that? Teach me. It was cold last year, and she didn't see him put on the quilt like this. Seeing him put on a quilt so easily without relying on brute force at all, Lin Wanshu was extremely surprised. The woman's sparkling eyes were full of admiration, and Qin Yan enjoyed it very much.
Good.
With a smile in his eyes, he rubbed the woman's little head. Then, without any trouble, he took out the quilt again and explained the techniques to her. As she had learned a new skill, she could easily put on the quilt without having to crawl into it or shake it with brute force. Hing didn't know if he felt his mother's happiness or because he came to a new environment, but he looked very excited, kicking his two little feet and wanting to come down and play. Lin Wanshu didn't restrain him. After the man made the bed, she put him on it. But because he could roll over now, she folded the quilt and placed it beside the bed to prevent him from rolling over and falling. After putting Hing on the bed, Lin Wanshu took out a rattle and put it in his hand, letting him play with it by himself while she went to pack up her things. The bag containing clothes inside the sack had been taken out by Qin Yan. Lin Wanshu hung them one by one on the wardrobe. With the addition of a baby, the closet seems a little crowded. However, most of them were clothes for the mother and her two sons, and Qin Yan only had 2 or 3 sets. After putting the clothes away, Lin Wanshu placed the mouthwash cups on the table one by one. Before long, the originally empty room was filled with the things they often used. Qin Yan looked at the room where she had lived for many years, which was gradually filled up by her things, and an indescribable feeling suddenly arose in his heart. Lin Wanshu didn't notice her man's mood. She moved a stool and was about to hang the curtain, but she was grabbed by a pair of big hands around her waist and lifted up. The feeling of weightlessness made Lin Wanshu couldn't help but let out a low cry. Just when I was about to ask him what he was doing, my whole body was placed on those strong and broad shoulders. Lin Wanshu never thought that he would do this. She was so embarrassed that her ears turned red. "Ian, what are you doing?"
Put me down.
In fear of being heard, Qin Yan held her thighs with both hands and said in a serious tone, "Help you hang the curtain." It turned out that there was a curtain in their room, separating the bed from the outside. When the curtain was drawn, the bed could not be seen, so privacy was well guaranteed. It wasn't there originally, but Qin Yan added it on purpose when they got married. However, the rod for hanging the curtain is a bit high, so I have to bring a stool and raise my hands high to reach it. Lin Wanshu, who would hang curtains like this? If someone saw her, wouldn't she be so embarrassed? I was about to protest. I felt the man's excitement like a teenager. Instantly, her heart softened, and she swallowed the rejection that had not yet been uttered. Her face was red, and her voice was a little delicate. "Then you have to hold me up well. If you fall, I will ignore you." She was responded by a man's somewhat brisk voice. "It won't fall, just hang it." The couple, who already had 2 children at this moment, acted like a pair of 16 or 17-year-old boys and girls who were just beginning to fall in love, extremely childish. But when she thought of the things she had missed in the past, Lin Wanshu couldn't help but want to indulge him in this rare and extraordinary behavior. Couple packed their luggage. Lin Wanshu was not idle either. She went out to help Lu Caixia cook. I have to say that Lu Caixia is indeed a capable person. She cleaned the entire yard so clean that there wasn't even a piece of chicken poop. Lin Wanshu was looking around the yard when her father-in-law Qin Jinbong walked in from outside the door. In his hand,
Dad.
Lin Wanshu saw him. She quickly greeted him and walked forward. "Let me serve it." Qin Jinbong was grinding tofu just now. When he heard that his son and daughter-in-law had returned, he wished he had a pair of wings to fly back. After finally grinding the tofu, he did not delay for a moment and quickly came back with the tofu. Seeing Lin Wanshu at this moment, he was both excited and relieved. What a good kid. He went to the army for a year and a half, did so many great things, and still came back so humble. "No need for you, no need for you. Dad can do it himself. You must be tired from the ride. Take a rest." How could Qin Jinbong be willing to ask her for help? Now Lin Wanshu is the treasure of their Qin family. Because of her and her son, no matter whether she went to the commune or the county town for a meeting, she was always looked up to. And the fact that Lin Wanshu was in the newspapers was often praised by his superiors. Qin Jinbong was embarrassed to say that his daughter-in-law was not only a doctor, but also the head of a pharmaceutical factory. "I'm afraid that being too high profile will arouse other people's jealousy." Qin Jinbong brought the basin of tofu into the kitchen and asked impatiently, "Where's Hingheng?" Having a new baby is a great joy, especially when it is a grandson born to him by his most promising son and daughter-in-law. Qin Jinbong couldn't stop talking about it before the little guy even came home. Now that the person is back, how can he bear it? "It's in the room. I'll get it for you." Lin Wanshu finished speaking. She saw Qin Yan walking and holding his son. As soon as Qin Jinbong saw the chubby little guy, he was immediately overjoyed. He didn't even bother to ask his son, whom he hadn't seen for 3 years. He hurried forward, clapped his hands, and said to the little baby, "Hingheng, I'm your grandpa. Come here and let grandpa hug you." Hingheng was not afraid of strangers. He looked at Qin Jinbong curiously and then opened his hands. Qin Jinbong's heart was melted by the cuteness. He took his grandson and looked at his well-behaved and clever appearance. He was so fond of him that he didn't want to let go. After teasing the baby for a while, he seemed to remember his tool son. Seeing that he was healthy and his aura became more restrained and steady, he patted his shoulder with satisfaction. "I'm glad you're back." Like thousands of fathers in China, when Qin Yan was injured, Qin Jinbong wanted to inquire about his whereabouts 800 times a day, but when the person really stood in front of him, he didn't know what to say. Just 4 simple words. But these few short words are filled with a father's love and pride for his son. Has always been introverted, responded to his father's concern with a tenderness in his eyes that he was not even aware of. The father and son had been separated for too long and had almost experienced the separation of life and death, so naturally they had a lot to talk about. There happened to be a brazier burning in the kitchen, so several people sat around the brazier and started chatting. Lin Wanshu brought a bunch of leeks and picked them while listening to them talk. The firewood in the brazier was burning with a crackling sound, and the hot current was blowing towards the face, warming the body. In weather like this, it's so comfortable to stay at home and warm yourself by the fire. As soon as Sun Shifeng returned home, she couldn't sit still. She would check to see if there was enough firewood in the pile, then check on the 2 pots of medicinal herbs she planted, then check to see if the 2 old hens she raised were still laying eggs. She walked around the house inside and outside. Lin Wanshu was almost dazzled by her, so she invited her to come over and warm herself by the fire. "Mom, stop working and come sit down and take a rest." Lu Saishao laughed and said, "Hey, Mom, you know that person, just let her see it." Without seeing enough. Hearing this, what else could Lin Wanshu say? She could only let her go. A few people were roasting fire and chatting, and Qin Yan threw 2 sweet potatoes into the fire. The Qin family is not as short of food as other families. They don't eat sweet potatoes for every meal, nor do they suffer from heartburn after eating too many sweet potatoes due to lack of oil and water like other families. Therefore, they still like to eat roasted sweet potatoes. Every autumn, when the sweet potatoes are distributed, the Qin family takes out a portion to dry before storing them. Sun-dried sweet potatoes are not as durable. They are rich in sugar and are fragrant and sweet when roasted. Hingheng refused to play with his grandfather after a while. The little boy twisted his body to find his mother. Lin Wanshu happened to have picked the chives, so she planned to wash her hands and take over the baby. But I didn't expect that before I washed my hands, I heard someone shouting outside. "Qin Yan's wife, are you home?" Hearing that voice that was so familiar to her bones, Lin Wanshu frowned reflexively. "It's Lu Juhua." Sun Shifeng happened to be in the yard. Upon hearing this, she responded, "She's inside." "What do you want to see her for?" Lu Juhua's own son is a gangster, and she can't even hold her head up in the village. The second son of the Qin family is not only a senior military officer, but his daughter-in-law is also a promising person. Standing in front of Sun Shifeng at this moment, she felt inferior. Hearing this, Lu Juhua rubbed her hands together and smiled a little embarrassedly. "It's all my useless daughter-in-law's fault." Asked her to fix the roof, but she fell down from it. Now she is lying on the ground and can't move. Bao Zhirong went to the county town and is not in the team. I heard that Qin Yan's wife is also a doctor now, so I had to shamelessly come here to ask her for help. Heard that the person came to ask her daughter-in-law for medical treatment. She turned around and called out, "Wanshu, Your Aunt Lu said her daughter Monxiang fell down. Would you like to go over and take a look at her? We are all from the same village, and there is no conflict between us. It would be unreasonable not to help someone who comes to us for help. When Lu Jihua shouted just now, Lin Wanshu and Qin Yan both stood up. Lin Wanshu wanted to see what Lu Jihua wanted her to do. Qin Yan simply didn't want that family to get close to his wife. The two of them just walked out of the kitchen door at this moment. Wanshu was a little surprised to hear that Lu Jihua came to ask her to go see He Monxiang. Lu Jihua was almost dazzled when she saw a woman who was dressed in bright clothes and looked like a fairy concubine walking out of the kitchen. Confirming that it was Lin Wanshu, she became even more uneasy. But when she thought of the unlucky star falling like that, she gritted her teeth, licked her face, and smiled. Qin Yan's wife. You see, I have no other choice, so I came to you for help. Can you go over and help me? It wasn't that she cared about He Monxiang. She was just afraid that if she got hurt, there would be no one to do the work. This was the first time Lin Wanshu had seen Lu Jihua since her rebirth. Seeing that the arrogant person in her previous life was now so humble, she couldn't help but be surprised. What you said is serious. Monxiang and I washed clothes together before we got married. Since she fell, I have to go and take a look for both emotional and logical reasons. After all, she is the matchmaker between herself and Qin Yan. If it weren't for her matchmaking, I might have missed this silly man in my life. Because of this, Lin Wanshu felt that she would be able to heal her leg injury no matter what. It can also be considered as settling a cause and effect. Okay, thank you so much, Lu Jihua said excitedly. Because someone was injured, Lin Wanshu did not delay and returned to the house, took out her medicine box, and was about to follow Lu Jihua. Qin Yan was naturally worried about Lin Wanshu going to the Zhao family alone. As soon as Lin Wanshu walked out of the door, he took the medicine box and said, I'll go with you. Both of them have experienced 2 lives, so Lin Wanshu would naturally not refuse her man's company. Handed the medicine box to him, without hesitation.
Well,
let's go. As they spoke, the couple walked out of the door one after the other. Ling County is different from Yun Province. The distance between each household in the countryside here is a bit far. It took them about 6 or 7 minutes to walk to Zhao's house. Before entering the door, I heard He Monxiang's painful cries from inside. Help! Come and help me. Because the weather was so cold, even her voice for help was trembling. When Lu Jihua heard her ghost, like howling voice, she immediately felt extremely dissatisfied. What are you yelling for? It's useless. You fell down when I asked you to fix the roof. What else can you do besides eating? Lin Wanshu heard the harsh words that she was familiar with. She finally felt the reality. She said, how could Lu Jihua change her personality? After all, she had earned such a huge fortune in her previous life, but she could still boss her around. At all that her son is a gigolo and acts with such self-righteousness that it is astonishing. After Lu Jihua finished yelling at the people inside, she turned around and gave Lin Wanshu a flattering smile. Qin Yan's wife, I'm sorry to have embarrassed you. The facial expression change made Lin Wanshu amazed. It turns out she has this side, but it doesn't seem strange when you think about it. Perhaps because she became rich too quickly in her previous life, Lu Jihua had already become a wealthy old lady known in the area before she even had the chance to meet anyone of high status. In the days that followed, she always looked down on others. Even Lin Wanshu was no exception. Now seeing that she was so humble and flattering, Lin Wanshu was filled with emotion for a moment. It's okay. I'll go see her. Retracting her thoughts, she said lightly. Lin Wanshu was the actual controller of the group. Her words and actions would inadvertently reveal a dignity that made others only dare to look up to her. At this moment, she just slightly restrained her smile, and Lu Jihua felt embarrassed, fearing that her rudeness would offend her. Okay, let her see it first. She nodded and agreed, and her fawning look was really ridiculous. Lin Wanshu nodded and walked into the courtyard that was so familiar to her. After all, she lived here for many years in her previous life. Qin Yan, who was following behind her, had his brows knitted into a knot before he even entered the door. If possible, he hoped that she would never have any contact with this family in her life. When he thought of the suffering she had endured here in her previous life, he couldn't show any good face to Lu Juhua. Normally his aura was intimidating enough, but now with his brows frowned, Lu Juhua's legs and feet almost trembled. What's going on with the second son of the Qin family? She hadn't offended him, had she? Why did he look at her like this? Under the eaves in the yard, He Manxiang felt her waist aching as if it was broken. She was unable to move at all. She could only lie half-lying on the ground motionless, wailing helplessly for help. It was extremely cold that day, and it had just rained in the morning, so the ground was still wet. She had been lying there for more than half an hour, and her body was almost numb from the cold. Hearing Lu Juhua still scolding her like that, He Manxiang felt aggrieved and angry. If she hadn't asked me to repair the roof, how could she have fallen from it? She has not had a good day since she got married. At this moment, all the grievances accumulated together, and her tears fell like pearls from a broken string. Just when she was in pain and despair, suddenly, Lin Wanshu's voice came from above her head. "Manxiang, I heard you fell. I came over to take a look at you." Hearing this, He Manxiang's crying stopped abruptly. He looked up with some surprise on his face. Lin Wanshu? How did she get here? Or when she was so embarrassed and helpless? By shame and embarrassment, her mind went blank. "Lin Wanshu, what are you doing here? Are you here to laugh at me?" He Manxiang ignored the severe pain in her waist, raised her head high, and cursed in a sharp voice. As she finished her words, she was slapped hard on the head. "I had such a hard time inviting Qin Yan's wife to come and save you. What's your attitude?" Lu Juhua knew that she was nothing in the outside world, so when she asked for help, she was very humble. But when it comes to He Manxiang, she is just the arrogant mother-in-law who beats and scolds her daughter-in-law whenever she wants. No respect at all. He Manxiang thinks she is reborn and has a sense of superiority, not to mention that she took the lead and married the future richest man. Needless to say, I was very proud of myself. But now, not only was she caught in such an embarrassing state by the richest man's wife in his previous life, but she was also slapped in the face by her mother-in-law in front of her. This kind of shame and embarrassment made her so angry that she almost wanted to die. Strictly speaking, there is no hatred or grudge between Lin Wanshu and He Manxiang. After all, Lin Wanshu and Zhao Mingyuan were not a proper couple in their previous life, so she could just snatch him away. What's more, she also brought herself and Qin Yan together. Although her original intention was not necessarily good, the result allowed Lin Wanshu to find her true love. Because of this, she would not add insult to injury at this time. After thinking for a while, she said to Lu Juhua, "Aunt Lu, Manxiang's condition is unknown. You can't hit her like this. If she injures her spine, she may become paralyzed." Hearing this, Lu Juhua was shocked. You mean she might be paralyzed? How can that be possible? We in the Zhao family cannot have a paralyzed daughter-in-law. In this day and age, good people can't even get enough to eat even if they work hard every day. Who would want to support a useless person who can't work, can only eat, and needs someone to take care of him? Lin Wanshu had witnessed Lu Juhua's selfishness and viciousness in her previous life. She didn't find her reaction strange. But when He Manxiang heard that her mother-in-law actually wanted to kick her out of the house, she felt like the sky was falling. But she didn't blame her mother-in-law, but instead took out all her resentment on Lin Wanshu. "Lin Wanshu, what nonsense are you talking about? How could I be paralyzed? Do you think you can be a doctor just because you know a few words? Who the heck are you?" Yelled at Lin Wanshu hysterically. He looked like he was crazy. Lin Wanshu looked at He Manxiang, who looked like she was going insane, with pity. "I was clearly reborn, so how come I ended up living like this?" She really couldn't understand. Knowing that He Manxiang was now in a frenzy and could not be communicated with, Lin Wanshu turned to Lu Juhua and said, "Auntie, you misunderstood what I meant. Manxiang fell from such a high place, and we don't know where she was injured. We need to check her out. If we move her rashly, it may cause irreversible damage." This time Lu Juhua finally understood. It turned out that she was afraid that when she hit He Manxiang, she might accidentally hurt her waist, which might lead to paralysis. But I understand. It's impossible not to fight. But she would not beat him in front of Lin Wanshu again, to avoid the trouble of He Manxiang blaming her if she couldn't be cured. Thinking of this, she smiled again and said, "Okay, I'll listen to you. I won't hit her." Qin Yan's wife, please take a look at her. When He Manxiang saw that they ignored her existence, she was so angry that she almost vomited blood. "I don't want her to treat me. Mom, tell her to go away." Even though Lu Juhua treated her like a human being and beat and scolded her, in He Manxiang's heart, she was still a member of her family. Lin Wanshu was the outsider who came to see her laugh and take advantage of her misfortune. When Lu Juhua heard this, she immediately became angry. "You don't want to treat it? Are you looking for an excuse to be lazy and not work if you don't treat the injury? He Manxiang, I tell you, if you can't treat it, get out of here and go back to your mother's house. Our Zhao family can't afford to support a useless person." What He Manxiang feared most was being sent back to her parents' home and divorcing Zhao Mingyuan. If she were to stay away from Zhao Ming, what would be the point of her coming back to life? Thinking of this, she, who was originally full of anger, suddenly became timid. Reaching out and pulling Lu Juhua's trouser leg, she begged, "Mom, please don't chase me away. I will treat it. Isn't it okay for me to treat it? Just bear with it. When the day comes when she becomes the wife of the richest man, she will definitely repay you double for the humiliation you suffered today." Lu Juhua was very proud to see that she could control her so easily. With a cold snort, she warned, "You better cooperate with the treatment later. If you dare to make trouble again, don't blame me for being rude." After she finished speaking, her expression changed in an instant, and she said to Lin Wanshu in a flattering manner, "Qin Yan's wife, then I'll trouble you to take a look at her." Lin Wanshu also wanted to finish the job quickly, finish examining He Manxiang as soon as possible and go home to warm herself by the fire, as this darn weather was really too cold. Hearing this, he squatted in front of He Manxiang without delay and took her pulse. She didn't know where He Manxiang was injured exactly, and it was indeed not a good idea to move her rashly. First take a look at her injuries, then see how to move her back. Lin Wanshu was too hot when she was warming herself by the fire just now, so she had taken off her military coat and was now wearing a woolen coat, which makes it look grand and elegant when worn. This style is a classic even in later generations. How amazing such an outfit is in this age when there are only bulky cotton coats. He Manxiang had just scolded Lin Wanshu. She was unable to make any large movements due to her injuries. Therefore, she did not see Lin Wanshu, but only vaguely saw a piece of her clothes. At this moment, He Manxiang suddenly had an illusion, as if the noble and elegant wife of the richest man in the previous life appeared in front of her. In an instant, the emotions that she had managed to suppress surged up again. Why did she live such a glamorous life in both lives? And he finally managed to become the future richest man, but he lives such a miserable and embarrassing life? Even after using all her skills in her previous life and giving birth to a son, she still couldn't get Zhao Mingyuan to show any sympathy for her. Jealousy and resentment once again filled her mind, and He Manxiang's eyes were bloodshot. Lin Wanshu quickly discovered that she had a dislocation of the facet joint of her lumbar vertebra. Special techniques must be used to reposition the dislocated joint as quickly as possible. After taking her pulse, she reached out and touched her waist, then said to Qin Yan, "Yan, go find a board. Aunt Lu and I will carry Manxiang back later." Qin Yan hadn't said a word since he came in. He Manxiang was unable to move and had no idea that he was here too. Hearing that Qin Yan was there too, and having seen her entire miserable and crazy appearance, He Manxiang wished she could faint on the spot.
Why?
Why would you embarrass yourself in front of such a great man? It must be Lin Wanshu. She did it on purpose, deliberately bringing her man to laugh at herself. At this moment, He Manxiang hated Lin Wanshu. If looks could kill, Lin Wanshu would have been cut into pieces by now. Lin Wanshu did not fail to notice He Manxiang's gaze, but she did not take it to heart. Because what else can He Manxiang do now except feel helpless and furious? Considering that she had helped bring her and Qin Yan together, Lin Wanshu didn't bother to argue with her. Paying off this karma, if she provokes her again in the future, she will definitely not be polite. Qin Yan understood his daughter-in-law and knew that she wanted to seek treatment for He Manxiang, and he could not persuade her. In order to leave here quickly, he nodded without saying anything more and went to look for the wooden board. He Manxiang still looked at Lin Wanshu with a serious look. Don't think I'll be grateful to you for doing this. Lin Wanshu had already withdrawn her hand and stood up. Upon hearing this, she just glanced lazily at He Manxiang. What use is there for me to ask for your gratitude? This light sentence made He Manxiang, a reborn person, break down immediately. Why do you look down on me? Does she still think that she was the richest man's wife in her previous life? As soon as Lin Wanshu finished speaking, Lu Juhua started scolding her before she could say anything else. Why should others look up to you? Don't you see what you are? Wanshu is a doctor now and gets a salary every month. What do you have? You are just flattering yourself. I am embarrassed to listen to you. He Manxiang was bullied again and almost choked on a mouthful of blood. She was reborn. She knew what would happen in the future. Why did they look down on her? Just wait. Wait until Zhao Mingyuan becomes the richest man, and then she'll use her money to kill them. He-Man's chest rose and fell with a scent of fragrance. But she didn't have the courage to disobey her mother-in-law, so in the end she could only swallow her anger. It was unknown when Qin Yan would be back, and Lu Juhua was afraid that Lin Wanshu would catch a cold, so she moved a stool for her to sit in the shed, where there was also a fire burning. As for whether her daughter-in-law would get frozen, she couldn't do anything about it. Lin Wanshu didn't refuse, so she sat down by the fire and waited for Qin Yan to come back. However, before Qin Yan could wait, he met two unexpected people.
Mingyuan.
Seeing Zhao Mingyuan appear at the door, He Manxiang shouted with a look of grievance. As soon as Zhao Mingyuan stepped into the door of his house, he heard He Manxiang's hoarse voice, and he almost got goosebumps all over his body. Before he could see clearly what was happening to He Manxiang, he couldn't help but curse. He Manxiang, what's wrong with you? Just trying to talk? Maybe she knew that Wang Yongsheng was coming and wanted to charming him on purpose. Wang Yongsheng just wanted to come and see He Manxiang and his son. Therefore, the first thing he noticed when he entered the door was He Manxiang lying on the ground. Manxiang, what's wrong with you? When he saw her embarrassed and pitiful appearance, I couldn't help but walk forward quickly, wanting to help her up. But how could He Manxiang possibly ask him for help? Before Wang Yongsheng even got close to her, she angrily shouted, "Who are you calling Manxiang? Do you think I know you well?" Hearing her angry curse, Wang Yongsheng froze in place. An indescribable discomfort surged in my heart. How can you not be familiar with each other? Passionate and clingy, she was during those days and nights. Not only did she praise him for being awesome, she also gave birth to a big fat boy for him. However, these are just self-deception. How could Wang Yongsheng not know in his heart who her enthusiasm was for? But the clearer it became, the more unwilling he became. Obviously a man-loving loser, how can he marry such a knowledgeable and thoughtful wife? But I have nothing? When Zhao Mingyuan saw He Manxiang lying on the ground, he not only showed no concern, but also said with disgust, "He Manting, what's wrong with you? Why are you lying on the ground? Just lie down. Why can't she go somewhere else? Why does she have to block the way between herself and Wang Yongsheng?" Hearing this, He Manxiang looked at him in disbelief. He really see that he fell down and can't get up? But when she thought of Lin Wanshu still being here, she could only swallow her dissatisfaction and looked at him pleadingly. "Mingyuan, I accidentally fell down when I was fixing the roof just now. Now I can't move. Can you help me up?" Because she was scolded just now, she didn't dare to raise her voice too much this time. Heard that she had fallen, he felt extremely unlucky. Just when he was about to ignore her and take Wang Yongsheng back to the room, Wang Yongsheng grabbed his arm. "Mingyuan, go check on your brother's wife. If she fell badly, send her to see Dr. Bao." Zhao Mingyuan could not remember how long it had been since he heard Wang Yongsheng speak to him so gently. In order to see him, he even wore new clothes for the new year today. But he just treated himself perfunctorily. Only when he mentioned meeting He Manxiang did he show some interest. Zhao Mingyuan resented his indifference, but he couldn't give up this relationship. At this moment, Wang Yongsheng was just a little gentler to him, and Zhao Mingyuan was like a drug addict, feeling a little dizzy. Okay, I'll go help her. After responding happily, he ran forward happily and wanted to help He Manxiang up. But before I met anyone, I heard a clear and gentle voice coming from the shed. Wait, her lumbar vertebrae are dislocated. You can't lift her directly. It will easily aggravate her condition. The Zhao family's shed was between the kitchen and the house. Lin Wanshu hadn't said a word, and Zhao Mingyuan and Wang Yongsheng hadn't noticed that there was someone else in the house. Hearing the sound, they both looked towards the shed. The next second, they were all stunned on the spot again. What a beautiful girl. Even though Wang Yongsheng was now fascinated by He Manxiang, he couldn't help but stare at her. When Zhao Mingyuan saw this, his face suddenly turned dark. Where did this fox come from? Is she trying to charming Wang Yongsheng again? Although He Manxiang looked down on Wang Yongsheng, she was still very unhappy when she saw how obsessed he was with Lin Wanshu. In his heart, just at this moment, Qin Yan also came back with a wooden board about 60 centimeters wide in his hand. He had an outstanding appearance and was tall and had long legs. As soon as he entered the room, he captured Zhao Mingyuan's attention. It's him. He is back. Qin Yan's tall and handsome figure was well known in the surrounding area. As a man who liked men, Zhao Mingyuan's first crush was Qin Yan. But he knew very well in his heart that such a man was not something he could ever dream of. If he dared to show that he had other thoughts about him, Zhao Mingyuan would have no doubt that he would no longer be able to hide the fact that he liked men. Finally, he had no choice but to hook up with Wang Yongsheng, who played with him all day. But white moonlight is white moonlight after all. Even though they hadn't seen each other for a few years, Zhao Mingyuan's heart still couldn't help but beat wildly. Brother Qin, you are back? Unable to hold back, Zhao Mingyuan shouted excitedly. Lin Wanshu saw the infatuation in his eyes and almost vomited. She was wrong. She shouldn't have come here. My man is disgusted by such a person. Qin Yan's gaze was so cold that it seemed to be able to freeze people into ice. He had been to the front line and killed many people. Just standing there, his aura of majesty without even being angry was enough to make people tremble. At this moment, his eyes were gloomy. How could someone with a guilty conscience like Zhao Mingyuan bear it? Zhao Mingyuan met Qin Yan's gaze that seemed to be able to see through everything. In an instant, a chill flowed from the top of his head to the soles of his feet. The whole person woke up instantly. I didn't even know when my legs started to tremble. At this moment, he just wished he could smash his own mouth. How dare I let my imagination run wild? Qin Yan retracted his gaze and walked towards Lin Wanshu. The planks are back. Lin Wanshu nodded. Thank you for your hard work, Ian. Lin Wanshu was now eager to leave this place and did not delay any longer. Then he said to Zhao Mingyuan and Wang Yongsheng, her lumbar vertebrae are injured. If you don't want her condition to get worse, lift her according to my instructions. Zhao Mingyuan was so frightened by Qin Yan's look that he was completely dazed at the moment. How could he know what Lin Wanshu was talking about? With just one instruction and one action, he did almost anything Lin Wanshu said, just like a puppet. At this time, Lu Juhua, who had just gone out to borrow something, also came back. Seeing that Wang Yongsheng wanted to help carry his daughter-in-law, she hurried forward. Yongsheng, you don't need to help. Auntie and Mingyuan can carry it. Although he looked down on He Manxiang, she was still the daughter-in-law of their Zhao family after all. How can you let a good-looking man move things around? What does that look like? Hearing this, Wang Yongsheng could only step aside in disappointment. He Manxiang, who was carried onto the wooden board by her mother-in-law and the man, comforted herself again. Although her mother-in-law always beat and scolded her, she was still very nice to her when it came to the critical moment. Thinking of this, she glanced at Lin Wanshu in a demonstrative manner. Even if she was the wife of the richest man in her previous life, so what? In this life, the daughter-in-law of the Zhao family can only be her, He Manxiang. Lin Wanshu. Following time, whether intentionally or unintentionally, He Manxiang kept talking to Zhao Mingyuan in a gentle voice. Still uneasy. So how could he know what she was talking about? Just responding to her unconsciously. But even so, it was enough to make He Manxiang ecstatic. He still has her in his heart. Otherwise, how could he be so gentle to her in front of so many people? Thinking of this, all of He Manxiang's grievances and anger disappeared. All that is left is pride and joy. Especially showing affection in front of the future richest man's wife in his previous life, this kind of stimulation made her extremely excited. Even when Lin Wanshu repositioned her small joints, she didn't cry out in pain. Looking at the woman in front of her massaging her waist, He Manxiang felt very proud. If Lin Wanshu knew what she had missed, how interesting would her expression be? Lin Wanshu found He Manxiang too quiet and couldn't help feeling a little strange. But she was too lazy to think about it. She was protected by Qin Yan, and no one could get close to her. Even if Qin Yan is not around, she still has Qiqi in the space who can help her warn of danger. Because if anything happens to me, Qiqi will be doomed too. If He Manxiang didn't have any bad thoughts about her, but once she dared to have any strange thoughts, she would definitely let her know how to write the word, regret. After repositioning the tibia, Lin Wanshu applied medicine to He Manxiang and then fixed the position of her waist with a board. He Manxiang watched her skillful movements and felt inexplicably strange in her heart. Why didn't I hear that Lin Wanshu could treat illnesses in my previous life? And the medical skills seemed to be pretty good? After her treatment, He Manxiang felt that the pain in her waist was no longer so severe. The more she thought about it, the more suspicious it seemed, and her eyes kept moving back and forth between Lin Wanshu. Lin Wanshu didn't care. After the patient was cured, she took out some medicine from the box and told Lu Juhua some precautions. Then he said, "We are all from the same village, so I won't charge you for the treatment. However, the ingredients of these medicines are quite expensive, so the total cost for oral and external use is $2.50. Hearing this, Lu Juhua's eyes suddenly went dark. $2.50. This jinx actually spent $2.50 on himself. Why didn't she just fall to her death? Although she was very unhappy with her daughter-in-law for spending so much of her money, Lu Juhua did not have the courage to refuse to give her the money. After all, Qin Yan was still standing here with a covetous look in his eyes, and she was not timid. "Okay, I'll get you the money." As she spoke, Lu Juhua took out $2.50 with a painful look on her face. Lin Wanshu took the money and put down the medicine. She didn't stay for long and took Qin Yan away. Lu Juhua didn't even dare to question Lin Wanshu and just vented all her anger on He Manxiang. "You are such a jinx. I shouldn't have let you in the first place." But He Manxiang didn't care about her mother-in-law's scolding. "My mind kept recalling every detail of my rebirth." He was also sure that most things matched his memory, with the only major deviation being the variable of Lin Wanshu. How could she know medicine? No one knew better than her how miserable Lin Wanshu's childhood was. "I could barely squeeze out a little time to read, and spent most of the rest of the time working." In such an environment, where did she learn medical skills? He Manxiang couldn't believe that she could learn so much in just 1 year in the army. There must be something wrong here. Thinking of her rebirth, He Manxiang's eyebrows jumped. Will she be like me? But this doesn't make sense. If she was also reborn, how could she give up being with Zhao Mingyuan? Thinking of this, He Manxiang finally felt relieved. "I'm talking to you, what's your attitude?" Lu Juhua scolded for a long time, but when she found that He Manxiang didn't react, she became even more furious. By this time Lin Wanshu had already left, and since she had just lost $2.50, Lu Juhua raised her hand and slapped He Manxiang several times in the face. "Papa, sound is so painful just listening to it." Wang Yongsheng, who was standing by, couldn't bear to see this and quickly stepped forward to stop Lu Juhua. "Annie, please talk to me nicely. How can you hit me?" Lu Juhua was teaching her daughter-in-law a lesson, but she never expected that her son's usual bad friends would stop her. Suddenly, she felt extremely unhappy. I beat my daughter-in-law. What does it have to do with you? She deserves to be beaten for not listening. Get out of my way. Otherwise, don't blame me for kicking you out. Even though his son was a second-rate person with a bad reputation, he was still his son no matter how disobedient he was. Lu Juhua doesn't look down on those second-rate people out there. I feel that if it weren't for them, how could my good son learn to be a bad person? He Manxiang also didn't want Wang Yongsheng to help her. Even if she was beaten by her mother-in-law, so what? It was better than her instigating Zhao Mingyuan to divorce her, right? She has endured such hard times for several years. How could she easily give up the future glory and wealth? Thinking of this, she glared at Wang Yongsheng and said, "Did you hear me?
Leave now."
We in the Zhao family do not welcome you." Wang Yongsheng didn't expect that even though he helped He Manxiang in this way, she didn't appreciate it at all. I was immediately frustrated and angry, but more of it was confusion. Exactly did she see in Zhao Mingyuan? Not only is he a coward, but he is also so mean to her. Zhao Mingyuan didn't want Wang Yongsheng to pay too much attention to He Manxiang, so he pulled him back to his room. As for He Manxiang, it would be better if he was beaten to death. He would not have any psychological burden at all. Anyway, he already has a child, Wang Yongsheng's. Women don't matter anymore. In the future, he and Wang Yongsheng will raise their son, and he will still be filial to them when he is old. Wang Yongsheng didn't want to leave, but He Manxiang would rather be beaten than give him a good look. What reason did he have to stay? In the end, he could only go to Zhao Mingyuan's room with a frustrated look on his face. On the other side, Lin Wanshu and Qin Yan were walking back slowly. Looking at the village she had been away from for many years, she felt very complicated. In her previous life, Lin Wanshu had no sense of belonging here because her husband's family didn't love her and her own family didn't love her. Moving to the city, she has hardly ever come back. But now because he is here, Lin Wanshu's mood has quietly changed. Looking at this familiar little village, she felt that every tree, every blade of grass, and even the bumpy dirt road seemed so friendly and lovely. Walking on the muddy road, Lin Wanshu was not bored at all and was even in the mood to play. Every time she passed a water pit, a happy and cheerful smile appeared on her face. It was as if what she was doing was something particularly interesting. Qin Yan, who was standing by, saw this. A picture flashed through his mind involuntarily. In the picture, 16-year-old Lin Wanshu, wearing thin and worn clothes, walks on a muddy road in the cold winter. But at that time, she was silent and looked troubled. After the rain in winter, the weather was bitterly cold and the roads were wet and slippery, just like they are now, with puddles everywhere. Lin Wanshu carefully avoided puddles one after another, as if she was afraid of getting her half-new shoes wet. However, the more you fear something, the more likely it is to happen. Although she was walking very carefully, she still accidentally slipped into a puddle. The muddy water soaked her cotton shoes. The girl's face showed a look of surprise at first, and then her round cat-like eyes turned red on the spot. It looks as pitiful as it can be. Qin Yan finally mustered up the courage to come for her, but she seemed not to hear him calling her, and just walked away with her head down, distraught. Lin Wanshu was concentrating on avoiding the puddles, when suddenly, she thought of this scene from her previous life. At that time, it had been almost half a year since Teacher Meng passed away, but she still couldn't get over it. Especially when it rains, her mood becomes particularly depressed. The pair of shoes she was wearing were left to her by Teacher Meng, but she accidentally stepped into a mud pit. At that moment, Lin Wanshu felt that her whole world was dark. The person who cared about her the most was gone. She would never have the chance to repay her properly. Now he has even soiled the only pair of shoes she had left for herself. How could she not be sad? At that time, Lin Wanshu was completely immersed in sadness. The sounds from the outside world seemed to be isolated by an invisible barrier. However, thinking back now, wasn't that faint voice Qin Yan's? If it were in the past, she might not understand why he called her.
But now,
Lin Wanshu's eyes suddenly felt a little sore. Why did she decide to help He Manxiang, even though she knew that He Manxiang had bad intentions in marrying Qin Yan? Because He Manxiang gave her the opportunity to get to know this man. That was enough. Nothing can measure Qin Yan's position in her heart. There was another puddle ahead, but Lin Wanshu did not go around it directly.
But,
Comrade Qin Yan. Qin Yan was still thinking about his previous life. When he heard the voice, he subconsciously turned his head and met the woman's eyes that seemed to contain thousands of words. I want to cross that puddle. Can you help me? Lin Wanshu pointed to the medium-sized puddle in front of her. Obviously, it sounded extremely childish, but Qin Yan's eyes softened in an instant. Okay, I'll support you. Without any doubt or impatience, he said it in a doting tone. Lin Wanshu held his hand. Then, he jumped lightly and crossed the puddle in front of him. The silver bell-like laughter echoed in this somewhat remote path as the woman stepped over the puddle. Looking at her cheerful and unrestrained appearance like a girl who knows nothing about the world, Qin Yan's heart suddenly became a little out of control. That was holding her tightened a little unconsciously. It's as if trying to grab something. As the two of them walked along, you couldn't tell at all that they already had 2 children. Instead, they looked like a young couple who had just started dating. Their relationship is so good that it can be described as sweet as honey. At this moment, Qin Yan's heart was more satisfied than ever before. I got home. The meal was ready. Miao Miao, who went out to play with a few brothers, has also returned. At this moment, they're sitting around the brazier roasting sweet potatoes. Saw her mother coming back. Her eyes lit up. She opened her small mouth, which was covered with carbon ash, and showed a big smile. Come here, Mom. Here are some delicious roasted sweet potatoes. Miao Miao likes to eat roasted sweet potatoes the most. When she was in the staff quarters, Shen Xiai and his friends often roasted them for her. Now that she's back home, her brothers indulge her. As soon as I came back from playing, I eagerly found some sweet potatoes to roast for her. Lin Wanshu looked at her daughter's face, which looked like a little cat, and felt a little amused. I took out a handkerchief, wet it with hot water, and wiped her little face. Miao Miao was holding a half-eaten sweet potato in her hand and raised it in front of Lin Wanshu.
Mom, eat.
Lin Wanshu took back the handkerchief and said with a smile, Thank you, Miao Miao. Mommy doesn't want to eat it. You can eat it yourself. But the little guy still insisted on giving her the sweet potato. Lin Wanshu. Well, so he gave it to her because he couldn't eat anymore? After pinching her little nose and scolding her with a smile, little rascal, Lin Wanshu took half a sweet potato and started eating it without any disgust. Wanshu, how is Lu Juhua's daughter-in-law? Sun Shifeng finally looked around her home after a year away. She was now washing dishes and preparing to eat. It's nothing serious. I think it will be fine in half a month. Lin Wanshu finished eating the sweet potatoes. She went forward to help wash the dishes. Hearing this, Sun Shifeng didn't ask any more questions after all. It was someone else's business. But there was one thing she had to ask Lin Wanshu. When do you plan to go to your parents' home? I can prepare something for you. After all, I have been away from home for more than a year. It would be unreasonable not to visit my parents when I come back. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu was silent. My original good mood was half gone. But what the mother-in-law said was right. Even if she hated the Lin family, she had to go back and take a look. Otherwise, she would definitely be criticized and accused of being unfilial. Half lowered her eyes, paused, and then said, The day after tomorrow. Miao Miao and Heng Heng are tired from sitting. Let them rest tomorrow. Okay, I'll prepare it for you. Sun Shifeng had also heard about her childhood. After all, Li Xiuji was well known for her power. How could she be so easy to get along with? However, since the two families have become relatives, they have to maintain the superficial interpersonal relationships. Other things can only be put aside for the time being. Mom, you don't have to help me prepare. I prepared some things myself before I came back. Lin Wanshu still didn't want to let that family get away with it. After hearing this, Sun Shifeng didn't say anything else. After all, her young daughter-in-law was a promising young woman. Now that she is ready, she won't worry about it. On the other side, Lin Jimin returned from the commune in the cold wind with a sad face. As soon as I entered the house, Li Xiuji came to greet me with an anxious look on my face. Lao Lin, how is it? Lin Jimin's clothes were still a little damp, and he was shivering all over from the cold. Seeing his wife's anxious look, he didn't know how to start. Finally, he let out a long sigh. I went to ask for help, but they said I had to pay 5,000 yuan to redeem him, or I would be arrested and sent to a labor camp. Although she was mentally prepared that this matter was not easy to resolve, Li Xiuji still couldn't help but screamed in surprise when she heard Lin Jimin say that. $5,000? Why so much? People say that he is committing adultery, which is quite serious. If the amount is large, he may be sentenced to more than 10 or 20 years in prison. Lin Jimin looked a little annoyed. He has been an honest farmer all his life. How could something like this happen to him? As the old saying goes, a dragon gives birth to a dragon, a phoenix gives birth to a phoenix, and a mouse gives birth to a mouse that can dig holes. Lin Yaoqing's father is a dishonest man, and his son is also of the same kind. It turns out that Lin Yaoqing, like Lin Joshua, was a child brought to the Lin family by Li Xiuji. After she married Lin Jimin, they gave birth to a boy and a girl. Because she felt sorry for her son who had lost his father at a young age, Li Xiuji doted on him very much. This also cultivated his idle nature. Every day, I do nothing and hang out with a few other guys who are equally idle. Half a year ago, he fell in love with a girl from the next brigade. After coming back, I have no appetite for food or tea. Every day, I think about what to give the girl, to please her. Although the Lin family is not poor, they are not wealthy either. After all, raising so many children at home is a huge burden. Li Xiuji secretly gave him money several times. She couldn't bear it anymore. She said that if he liked her, she would ask someone to propose to him. But no one knew what was wrong with Lin Yaoqing. He refused to agree and said that they should have a free love relationship and asked her not to interfere. Li Xiuji was extremely angry, but there was nothing she could do about him. After secretly giving him money several times, Li Xiuji's pockets were almost empty. He refused to take the money no matter what. He just said that either he proposed marriage or he had to go out and earn money himself. Lin Yaoqing was also a stubborn person. After Li Xiuji stopped paying him, he actually went to work seriously for a few days. But how could he, who had hardly worked in the fields, endure such hardship? After working so hard all day, I only earn 7 or 8 work points, and I don't get the money until the end of the year. He earned were barely enough to support himself. So, how could he have extra money to buy something for the girl? Finally, I don't know who told me that I could make a lot of money by reselling things on the black market. In order to please the girl, Lin Jimin gritted his teeth and gave it his all. I followed a few gangsters to the black market. It's no wonder that after entering the black market, they quickly made a lot of money. With the money, Lin Yaoqing bought the girl a watch and a beautiful dress. The girl was so happy that she finally agreed to marry him. But just after the two families decided on a date for the marriage, Lin Yaoqing was caught red-handed in the black market. The news reached the Lin family. Li Xiuji fainted on the spot. When she woke up, she begged Lin Jimin to find someone to rescue her son. Lin Jimin is also a farmer who works hard in the fields. Where can he find someone to rescue him? The two of them wandered around like headless flies for a while. Someone finally came to tell them that someone in the commune had a way and asked them to go over and look for it. Lin Jimin then went to the commune early in the morning in the drizzle and biting cold wind. But who would have thought that the man would actually ask for $5,000 before helping him rescue the person? When she heard that she might be sentenced to another 10 or 20 years in prison, Li Xiuji immediately panicked. Grabbing Lin Jimin's clothes, she begged, Jimin, please think of a way to redeem him. Yaoqing is still so young, he can't go in. After more than 10 or 20 years of forced labor, his life will be ruined when he comes out. Lin Jimin felt overwhelmed when he saw Li Xiuji crying. How can I have money? You know what the situation is like at home. $5,000. Even if I sell him, I can't raise that much money. Hearing this, Li Xiuji suddenly became anxious, and her voice rose several degrees. How can you be without money? Don't you have a great daughter? I heard that she is now a doctor and her husband is an officer. Go call her and ask her for money. Because she was worried about her son these days, Li Xiuji didn't know that Lin Wanshu had returned. I thought she was still in the army. Li Xiuji didn't mention Lin Wanshu, but when she did, Lin Jimin couldn't help but sigh again. Wanshu is a capable woman, but you know how he treated her in the past. How can I beg her now? She had been with the army. If they had not sent her a letter from time to time, she probably would not have remembered that there was such a person as him in the Red Star Battalion. Hearing him say this, a trace of guilt flashed across Li Xiuji's face. How could she have imagined that one day she would become so powerful? Although she felt guilty, she couldn't help but defend herself. How did I treat her? Didn't I just beat her a few times and let her go hungry for a few meals? Which child in the village didn't go through the same thing? Just because I'm a stepmother, you say that to me? Lin Jimin. Just a few hits? A few meals of hunger? Li Xiuji, it's okay for me to lie to you, but don't lie to yourself. Also, what do you mean all the kids in the village came here like this? Then, why didn't she ever beat the 2 children she brought with her? Li Xiuji was surprised that he knew everything. But soon, she glared at him with confidence again. Since you saw it all but didn't tell me, doesn't that mean you condone me doing this? Why are you blaming me now? Lin Jimin was silent.
He didn't know what to say.
When he saw Lin Wanshu's face, he couldn't help but think of his dead wife. She died, her cheeks were sunken and her teeth protruded from her lips, making her look hideous. If he gave her the sweet potato in his hand, maybe she could hold on. But he hesitated, and she died. Whenever Lin Jimin saw Lin Wanshu's watery eyes, he couldn't help but think of his deceased wife's wide-open eyes. As if questioning why he was so cruel. Lin Jimin couldn't face himself, nor could he face Lin Wanshu, and in the end he could only escape. Even if he saw Li Xiuji beating him and not giving her food, he just pretended not to know. Li Xiuji continued. I don't care. You have to take it whether you want it or not. Anyway, you have to get the money for me no matter what. She couldn't just watch her son being arrested and sent to jail. Then his life would be ruined. Lin Jimin looked confused. Ask him to ask Lin Wanshu to borrow money to save the son of her stepmother who abused her? Is she crazy? Or am I crazy? I'm not going. If you want to go, go by yourself. He doesn't have the face to do so. Seeing that he actually rejected her, Li Xiuji immediately went crazy. She grabbed his clothes with both hands and shook him hard. Lin Jimin, you useless wimp. Why don't you help me? Doesn't Yao Qing have your last name? Is it true that he has been calling you dad for so many years? Call me quickly, go now. Li Xiuji was cursing when suddenly a little head popped out of the door and said timidly, I heard that my elder sister is back. She came back today. As soon as these words were spoken, the shouting and cursing stopped abruptly. Li Xiuji stared at the little girl Lin Jiadong at the door. What did you say? Lin Wanshu finished lunch. It was already 1 o'clock in the afternoon. After sitting in the car for such a long time and having no rest after returning, he went straight to treat He Manxiang's lumbar spine. She was extremely tired by now. But although she was tired, she felt very uncomfortable because she hadn't washed her body for 2 days. The sun came out a little at noon. Lin Wanshu boiled a large pot of water and gave herself and her 2 babies a bath. She came out of the shower room. A gust of cold wind blew in, and she couldn't help shivering from the cold. The 2 babies had been carried back to the room by Qin Yan. Lin Wanshu did not delay either. She put the bucket on the washing table and hurried back to her room. To wash my clothes after I wake up. Xiao Miao Miao didn't know whether she was tired from riding the car or from playing, but she had fallen into a deep sleep in the bed. Little Hung Hung was standing beside them, sucking his hands and kicking his feet. Bulged up into lumps as he kicked. Qin Yan was not in the room and no one knew where he was. Lin Wanshu didn't care. The weather was too cold. She went back to the house and got into bed directly. As soon as I got in, I found it warm inside. Lin Wanshu stretched her leg and found 2 hot water bottles underneath. Little Hung Hung probably saw his mother coming, so he kicked his little feet even harder and babbled something. Lin Wanshu was so adorable by the little guy that her face was bleeding. I couldn't help it and kissed him on the face. After being kissed, the baby seemed even more excited and waved his two little hands as if he was saying hecko to his mother. After kissing him, the unscrupulous mother fell beside him as if the battery had run out and closed her eyes. The little baby saw this. He paused, waving his hands. Then, the little head turned sideways and tilted up, as if wanting to see what's wrong with its mother. But he was too small, and apart from turning his head and looking up, he could not make any other unnecessary movements. Finally, he twisted his body, turned over with great effort, and lay on the bed, calling, "E-O-O," as if he wanted to wake up his mother. Qin Yan entered the room. He saw his wife sleeping soundly next to the baby. The little baby had turned over at some point and was stretching out a little paw, trying to grab his mother's eyes. Qin Yan hurried forward, took his little paws away, and turned him back. "Mom is sleeping, don't bother her." Regardless of whether he could understand or not, he warned him seriously. The baby couldn't understand what his father said. It didn't stop him from understanding his facial expression. Seeing his father's stern face, his mouth pursed, his eyes turned red, and he looked like he was about to cry. When Qin Yan saw it, he couldn't help but frown. "You are a man. Why do you cry like a girl?" But it would have been better if he hadn't said this. As soon as he finished speaking, the baby let out a "wow" and started crying. "Qin Yan, second brother, what's going on? Didn't you say you were going to coax Hing to sleep? Why is he crying?" The baby started crying. Qin Jinbang's concerned voice came from outside the door. However, he was obviously a very sensible person. Even though he was anxious, he did not step into his son and daughter-in-law's room. Instead, he stood to one side of the door as if to avoid suspicion. Qin Yan carried the two babies back to the room. He had already pulled up the curtain. Even with the door open, no one could see the woman sleeping on the bed. As soon as Hing started crying, he picked him up without hesitation. He wrapped the baby in a thick blanket and then carried him outside.
He won't go to sleep.
"Dad, please take him out to play for a while." As he said that, he handed over the still crying little one, along with the bottle, milk powder, and diapers. Qin Jinbang couldn't ask for more. He hadn't played enough with the baby just now when Lin Wanshu took him to take a bath. Now the baby was back in his arms, and he walked away happily holding him. But unfortunately, Meow Meow fell asleep. He barely spoke a word to her. Although he likes this little grandson, the little granddaughter he has loved for so long also holds an equally important place in his heart. Crying baby away, Qin Yan simply closed the door. Then he tiptoed back to the bed. Although he didn't get much rest these 2 days, Qin Yan had already gotten used to fragmented sleep and was not as tired as Lin Wanshu. But when he thought of her lying in his room, he felt an indescribable restlessness in his heart. He lifted the quilt and lay down in it. Because Lin Wanshu's hands and feet were always cold in winter, Qin Yan would always put a hot water bottle inside her bed whenever he was at home. Scalding his feet by directly touching the hot water bottle, he usually wraps his feet with a layer of quilted cloth. He touched her little feet with his feet and found them warm. Qin Yan then contentedly hugged her in his arms. Lin Wanshu was so tired that she couldn't open her eyes. She still subconsciously leaned towards him when she felt the familiar embrace that felt like a stove. But just as she got close to him, she heard the man groan. The scorching air blew past her ears, and even though Lin Wanshu was not fully conscious, she couldn't help but tremble slightly. A moment, the already warm bed seemed as if several hot water bottles were suddenly stuffed into it. Qin Yan's whole body was extremely tense, but he didn't dare to move at all. Since she became 7 months pregnant, the two have not been intimate again until now. Qin Yan had no idea how he had managed to endure it. At this moment, hugging the increasingly beautiful and charming woman was simply a torture for him. However, even though sweat was already breaking out on his forehead, Qin Yan did not make any other moves. It was broad daylight, so it was inappropriate, especially since she was so tired. Finally, he forced himself to close his eyes and simply fell asleep holding her in his arms. Lin Wanshu was so tired that she fell into a deep sleep after approaching him. She had no idea how much suffering the man next to her was in. I don't know how long I slept until I heard Sun Shifeng's voice coming from outside the door. Is Wanshu awake? Your sister is here to see you. Younger sister?
What? Sister?
Lin Wanshu's consciousness was still a little hazy, and she asked vaguely after hearing this. She said her name was something like Shui. Sun Shifeng doesn't remember the names of all these younger generations. When chatting on a daily basis, everyone usually calls someone's child the nth child of so-and-so's family. At most, people know a nickname, but no one can remember the real name so clearly. After all, in this era, every household has at least 4 or 5 children. How is it possible to remember every one of them? After hearing this, Lin Wanshu finally came to her senses. Lin Jiaxue? What did she come to see me for? The weather was cold, and Lin Wanshu couldn't come out for a while, so Lin Jiaxue was invited into the kitchen to warm herself by the fire. Sitting in the Qin family's spacious kitchen, smelling the lingering chicken aroma in the air, Lin Jiaxue's saliva couldn't stop flowing. The Qin family's lives really too good? The new year hasn't even come yet, and they're killing chickens? Aunt Meow Meow, please have a cup of tea and wait. Wanshu will be up soon. Sun Shifeng brought him a cup of tea. Lin Jiaxue took it with a smile and thanked her politely. His words and actions are just like those of a city dweller. This made Sun Shifeng unable to help but look at her several times. I heard your husband is from this town? Or does he work on a pig farm? Lin Jiaxue blushed slightly and said modestly, what's the difference between being in the city and not in the city? He just works in the pig farm of the commune. Having said that, her puffed-out chest and the pride on her face clearly showed that she was extremely satisfied with her man's work and status. After all, he is still a paid worker. Isn't it better than those working hard in the team? What's more, their house is right next to the street of the commune. Every time she woke up, she could see people from various groups coming and going passing by her house. Who in the team didn't envy her? She married a man who worked on the commune's pig farm. Sun Shifeng had originally just asked casually, but after hearing her say that, she could only follow her lead and compliment her a few words. Lin Jiaxue was praised so much that she felt a little flattered and thought that no one had better vision than her. Sun Shifeng stopped when she saw that things were going well and urged, why don't you drink tea? This is the tea we made with Wanshu. It smells fragrant and tastes good. I heard that our commander's wife also likes it very much. Heard her mention the commander. She was stunned. What is the position of a military commander? Is it a big position? But she didn't dare to ask, for fear of being embarrassed and being laughed at. In the end, she could only follow Sun Shifeng's advice and pick up the tea. The tea is put to the lips. A refreshing fragrance comes to the nose, which makes people feel refreshed. After taking a sip, the tea is fresh and elegant, leaving a lingering fragrance on the lips and teeth. Even if she didn't know much about tea, she could still taste the uniqueness of this tea. It was simply incomparable to the coarse tea she drank on a daily basis. This kind of tea was actually made by Lin Wanshu, that inconspicuous woman who appears and disappears every day. Lin Jiaxue had a lot of thoughts in her mind. She also heard that Lin Wanshu was now very successful. Not only had she become a doctor, but her husband had also been promoted to deputy head of the group. But rumors are just rumors after all. She didn't believe it unless she saw the person with her own eyes. After all, no one knew better than her what Lin Wanshu was like before she got married. After drinking half of a cup of tea, Lin Wanshu still didn't come out. Lin Jiaxue couldn't help but frown. Sister Wanshu is really something. She loved sleeping before she got married, and she is still like this after she got married. It's really hard for you, Aunt Sun, to be so generous and tolerant. Lin Jiaxue applied eye drops to Lin Wanshu without leaving any trace, and praised Sun Shifeng by the way. If an ordinary mother-in-law said this, she would definitely be dissatisfied. But Sun Shifeng looked at Lin Jiaxue with a strange expression, paused, and then said lightly, Wanshu is so tired from the car ride. How can she not take a good rest? Seeing that she not only didn't mind but also spoke up for Lin Wanshu, Lin Jiaxue couldn't help feeling a little jealous. My wedding, not only was I hungry all day, I also didn't get much rest at night. The next morning, before dawn, my mother-in-law woke me up to cook.
Want to sleep in?
Not possible. But isn't Lin Wanshu's life too good? She has been here for more than 10 minutes, and Sun Shifeng has not urged her once, just letting her sleep in during the day. Lin Jiashua's mind was full of thoughts, but she showed an envious expression on her face. Aunt Sun is such a nice person. My sister is so lucky to marry into your family. Fortunately, she came to her senses in time and did not agree to another family. Before he could finish his words, he saw a slender figure appear at the door. Lin Jiashue was stunned, feeling that the person in front of her was both familiar and unfamiliar. Lin Jiashue, long time no see. What brings you here? Lin Wanshu greeted her with a polite yet distant smile. After hearing her voice, Lin Jiashue finally believed that the radiant woman in front of her was actually Lin Wanshu. How so? Isn't it said that military wives have a hard life, that they can't rely on their husbands and have to rely on women to support them both at home and outside? How come she is becoming more and more glamorous after being with the army for more than a year? It took a long time for Lin Jiashue to come back to her senses. Although she was shocked in her heart, she still forced a smile. Haha, I heard you were back, so I came to see you. Hearing this, Lin Wanshu raised her eyebrows in surprise. That's really rare. After all, I didn't see you at home when I got married. I didn't expect that we would become so close now. Merciless words made Lin Jiashue's face turn blue and red. I was busy at that time and I didn't mean to be away from home. It has been so long. We should always look forward, and let's not always talk about those old things, right? At that time, Wu Dahong was about to be captured, so how could she have time to care about other things? Lin Wanshu smiled without comment. Since you don't want to mention the almanac, then I'd like to ask you what you just said. Aren't you the one who often sleeps until the third hour at home? When did I become so blessed? It turned out that she had been up for a while, and happened to hear Lin Jiashue applying eye drops to herself, so she listened at the door with interest. As soon as these words were spoken, Lin Jiashue's face turned purple. She just put some eye drops in her eyes out of habit. Is to try her best whether there is a chance or not. If Sun Shifeng believed it, but if she didn't, she wouldn't lose anything. After all, she lives in the commune now, and the affairs of the Red Star Brigade cannot affect her. But she never expected that Lin Wanshu had already gotten up and was standing at the door without saying a word, just watching her make fun of herself. When Sun Shifeng heard what Lin Wan said, her face immediately turned bad. You, a female comrade, why are you talking so much nonsense? It's fine if you say this to me, but if you spread it around, wouldn't it ruin my daughter-in-law's reputation? Fortunately, she knew what kind of person her daughter-in-law was. Getting married, she was not at all spoiled and did all the work with them. Not to mention, after she joined the army, she did so many things in just less than 2 years. Is there anyone in this area who can compare to her? Listening to Sun Shifeng's angry rebuke, Lin Jiashue felt even more embarrassed and awkward, and she wished she could dig a hole in the ground and crawl into it. But when she thought of what her mother had told her, she could only admit her mistake with a blushing face. You don't need to apologize. If you came here to say bad things about me in front of my mother-in-law, then I'm sorry I can't entertain you. Go back to where you came from. Lin Wanshu's expression was somewhat cold. Lin Jiashue panicked after being ordered to leave. She shouldn't have said such nonsense just now. Now she has offended Lin Wanshu. She will definitely be scolded to death when she returns. Most importantly, what about her brother Yaocheng?
No,
Wanshu, it's all a misunderstanding, she explained somewhat weakly. Lin Wanshu snorted coldly. You mean my ears were hurting, and you didn't say I was sleeping late? Seeing that her quibbling was no longer meaningful, Lin Jiashue could only explain her purpose.
I was wrong just now. I was so obsessed that I said that.
I came here to call you home for dinner. Dad was very happy to hear that you were back, so he killed a chicken and asked me to come and call you. Lin Wanshu. Would Li Xiuji be so kind as to ask Lin Jimin to kill a chicken to treat her? I'm afraid it's not a hangmen banquet, but since he has called her, it would be bad for her not to go. She will have to go there in 2 days anyway, so she might as well go today.
I see.
Lin Wanshu finished speaking. She ignored her and went back to her room. She had indeed prepared everything for returning to the Lin family in advance and placed them all in the space. When I took them out, there were 2 full bags. Lin Jiaxue hadn't left yet, and when she saw that she was carrying so many things, even a piece of bacon, her eyes widened. She was so generous that she was willing to give him a piece of bacon? You know, when she got married, she gave her a set of books. If she had given me books written by great men, but she chose to give me books that she couldn't understand at all. Lin Jiaxue was so angry at that time. When she saw her taking a piece of bacon, which was contrary to her usual behavior. Just as I was surprised, I saw a tall and straight man walking out of the house. With just one glance, Lin Jiaxue was stunned on the spot. What a strong aura. Then the factory director of her husband's factory.
No.
There is no comparison at all. This is the aura of a strong man, which is not comparable to that of an ordinary small factory director. Such a contrast made her previous pride look like a joke.
Sister.
Brother-in-law. The man's powerful aura, Lin Jiaxue stammered as she greeted him. However, the man didn't even look at her and just walked over with a child in his arms. Xiao Miaomiao had just woken up and was still sleepy. She hugged her father's neck, leaned on his shoulder, and half-closed her eyes. Lin Jiaxue was ignored and felt awkward and embarrassed. Even more embarrassing was Lin Wanshu's mocking look. However, no one in the Qin family seemed to pay attention to her. Although they didn't say anything, they all protected Lin Wanshu with their actions. This made Lin Jiaxue regret even more. Why didn't she control her mouth just now? It was already 5 o'clock in the afternoon. Because it was a sudden visit to the Lin family, Lin Wanshu did not plan to bring Heng Heng with her and only brought Miao Miao. Let me carry it. Qin Yan held Xiao Miao Miao in one hand and used his other free hand to take the bag from Lin Wanshu. The bag was indeed a bit heavy, so Lin Wanshu didn't bother to be polite and just handed it over. After he took it, she reached out to hug Miao Miao. Let me hold you. After all, it's not very convenient for him to hold the baby in one hand and carry things in the other. However, Qin Yan didn't even intend to let her hold the baby. He turned his body to the side and avoided her. No, it's not heavy, I can do it. The bag in my hand weighs at most 20 to 30 kilograms, and Miao Miao weighs about the same. This weight is nothing to him. Lin Jiaxue saw this from the side and couldn't help but be a little surprised. Aren't soldiers said to be rough? How could he be so considerate? Everything was ready. Lin Wanshu said heko to her parents-in-law and went out. The 2 families are located at one end of the village and the other at the other, with dozens of households in between. The couple had outstanding temperaments to begin with, and Lin Wanshu also brought a piece of bacon with her. As she walked along, she attracted countless eyes. Everyone enthusiastically asked where the 2 were going. When they found out that they were going back to her mother's home, everyone couldn't help but be shocked. What a big piece of bacon. Lin Jimin is so lucky to have such a promising daughter. Who said it wasn't? Look at those 2 big bags. They must be filled with a lot of good stuff, right? Need I say more? They both have salaries and they send things back to the Qin family every now and then. It's been so long since they went back to their parents' home. How could they not have some good things? As they walked along the road, they were accompanied by envious discussions. After hearing this, Lin Jiaxue felt very uncomfortable. Although her husband works on a pig farm, she is from the countryside and has no job. Her parents-in-law look down on her and treat her with indifference on a daily basis. How could they possibly give her anything to take back to her parents' home? Wu Dahong was not a stingy person, but he listened to his mother too much. Every time he got his salary, he gave it all to his mother. The sky for Lin Jiaxue to get some money to spend. Everyone in the village envied her for marrying a man with a job, but no one knew the pain she was going through behind the scenes. Seeing Lin Wanshu so glorious and the man being so considerate, Lin Jiaxue felt so regretful in her heart. Her mother had clearly advised her many times to marry Qin Yan. But she disliked being a military wife because it was too hard and refused to do it, so she gave the opportunity to Lin Wanshu. If she had listened to the advice at that time, how could Lin Wanshu have been in trouble? The more she thought about it, the more she regretted it. Lin Jiaxue couldn't help but blame Li Xiuji. If she had persisted a little longer and tried to persuade him a little more, how could she have missed such a good marriage? Not long after, they arrived at the end of the village. The Lin family's house is at the foot of the mountain. The road in the village ends abruptly at their door. Behind it is a steep hillside, and there is no road going up. Before entering the door, I could see smoke rising from the chimney in the distance. From time to time, Li Xiuji's scolding voice could be heard from inside. It sounded like he was scolding a child, but also like he was scolding Lin Jimin. Lin Wanshu looked at the door that she had not stepped into for more than 10 years in her previous life, but there was no trace of nostalgia in her eyes, only indifference. Xiao Miao Miao got down halfway and started walking on her own. At this moment, he was holding Lin Wanshu's hand and looking around with curiosity. When Lin Jiaxue heard her mother still scolding, she quickly shouted, "Mom, Sister Wanshu and her husband are back." As soon as the words fell, there was a sudden silence inside. After a while, a woman with a long face and high cheekbones came out. When she saw Lin Wanshu, she was stunned at first. But soon, a warm smile appeared on his face. "Oh, it's Wanshu. Hurry up and bring Qin Yan in to sit down. Your dad has been waiting for you for a long time." Lin Wanshu. Is the sun about to rise from the west? Li Xiuji actually smiled at her so warmly. Aunt Li, Lin Wanshu nodded at her indifferently. Let us see what they want to do. Lin Wanshu's indifference, but she did not feel disappointed and continued to warmly invite the two into the house. Wanshu, Aunt Li was wrong in the past. Every time I think about how I treated you, I feel bad. Today, when I heard that you were back, I thought of cooking a meal and inviting you to come over for dinner. Li Xiuji spoke with such sincerity that even her eyes were slightly red. She looked as if she was really reflecting on herself. Lin Wanshu just watched her performance quietly, without saying a word. Li Xiuji kept talking to herself, but soon she couldn't hold on any longer. Finally, seeing that she really didn't intend to reply, he shut up awkwardly. They entered the yard. They saw Lin Jimin standing at the kitchen door. Dad. Father-in-law. Lin Wanshu and Qin Yan greeted each other one after another, but their voices were equally cold. Lin Jimin's face looked a little embarrassed and a little guilty. Hey. You guys are back. He stammered a greeting. Lin Wanshu's eyes flickered slightly, and she felt that he looked too strange today. In the yard, Lin Yaoming was holding a dog in his hand, looking straight at Xiao Miao Miao. The big black dog stretched out its front paws forward, leaned forward slightly, and made low threatening sounds from its mouth. Where had Miao Miao seen such a ferocious animal? She was so scared that she couldn't help but hide behind her father. Qin Yan's eyes darkened, and he looked at Lin Yaoming coldly. Lin Yaoming is used to being domineering in the team, and everyone who sees him has to give him some respect. This also cultivated his fearless character. But no matter how fierce he was just a child of 11 or 12 years old. How could he have seen someone like Qin Yan who had been to the front line and killed the enemy? At this moment, just meeting Qin Yan's gloomy gaze, he was frightened so much that his face turned pale, and he stepped back involuntarily. Even the dog he was holding seemed to sense the danger and hid with its tail between its legs. The man and the dog retreated dejectedly into the corner. Seeing that Lin Yaoming had wisely escaped, Qin Yan withdrew his gaze coldly. Lin Wanshu had no idea what Lin Jimin and Li Xiuji were up to. I planned to finish my meal quickly and go back home early. Anyway, she had just walked around the village in a swagger, and now everyone knew that she had returned to her parents' home, so she was not afraid of being gossiped about anymore. Thinking of this, she took the 2 bags from Qin Yan's hands and handed them to Lin Jimin. These are some specialties I brought back from Yin province. I tried a new way to make this bacon, so I brought it back for you to taste. When Li Xiuji saw the bacon, her eyes suddenly lit up. I feel like killing a chicken isn't that painful anymore. Hee. Wanshu, you are sensible and filial. You know to bring meat back to honor your father. As she spoke, she reached out and took the bag and the meat. She actually didn't have high expectations for what was in the bag. After all, Nothing in the packages she sent back the last few times was usable. They're all good-looking but useless things. Even if you exchange it for money, you won't be able to get more than a few cents. You can steam bacon, which is something real and visible. It's not those empty talk. Lin Wanshu didn't say anything and let her take the bag. Lin Jimin looked at the large piece of bacon and felt uncomfortable. His lips moved, but he hesitated to speak. But after meeting Li Xiuji's warning gaze, he swallowed the words on the tip of his tongue. After receiving a large piece of bacon, Li Xiuji's smile became more sincere. There was a brazier in the kitchen, and she quickly invited Lin Wanshu and his wife to come in and warm themselves by the fire. The chicken is already in the pot and will be ready soon. Please wait here for a while. Li Xiuji continued to greet them warmly. Lin Jimin also sat next to the brazier, but he remained silent and didn't even fart for a long time. Lin Jiaxue glanced at Qin Yan from time to time, with a myriad of thoughts in her eyes. Little Miao Miao could not feel the undercurrents of the adults, and when she came to a strange environment, she was still full of curiosity about everything. But after watching for a while, she lost interest in it. Instead, he became curious about Lin Jiaxue, who was standing next to him. Mom, is Auntie's eyes uncomfortable? As Xiao Miao Miao spoke, she imitated Lin Jiaxue and glanced to the side from time to time. That lively little appearance almost made Lin Wanshu laugh. Maybe Auntie didn't get enough rest and her eyes got cramps. Lin Wanshu glanced at Lin Jiaxue and smiled faintly. Lin Jiaxue's face turned red with embarrassment, as if her thoughts were exposed. She withdrew her gaze in embarrassment. How could she dare to look around again? Fortunately, the dish was finally ready after a short while. Li Xiuji brought a large pot of chicken and potatoes to the table. There were also fried eggs, tofu, fish on the table. It looked very rich. Even during the Chinese New Year, there might not be so many dishes. Lin Wanshu looked at Li Xiuji, who was busy all the time, and her heart became more and more suspicious. What exactly are Lin Jimin and Li Xiuji keeping in suspense? Why do they look weirder than each other? After the meal was ready, Lin Yaoming and Lin Jiadong also came in. Lin Yaoming was leading just now had gone. His face disappeared, replaced by fear and shrinkage. Lin Jiadong was originally a timid person, and now that she saw her cold-faced brother-in-law, she was even more scared. She didn't dare to get close to him and just hid in the corner. 3 of the 4 children born to Li Xiuji have arrived, but Lin Yaocheng is the only one missing. Lin Wanshu blinked and asked in surprise, "Where is Lin Yaocheng?" Hearing this, Li Xiuji froze for a moment. Then she said nonchalantly, "Maybe he was delayed by something. Let's not wait for him. Let's eat first." Lin Wanshu found it a little strange. For such a big thing as killing a chicken, Li Xiuji was reluctant to call her precious son back to eat. But she didn't ask any further questions. She just sat down and prepared to eat. The table, but the atmosphere was surprisingly weird. Only Li Xiuji greeted Lin Wanshu and Qin Yan warmly. The others barely spoke. Even Lin Wanshu and Qin Yan, who were being greeted, only responded indifferently. Probably the only person who was not affected in the whole audience was Miao Miao. Li Xiuji gave her a big chicken leg, and she started to eat it. Lin Jiadong was so greedy that she was drooling. At home, the chicken legs are either Lin Yaocheng's or Lin Yaoming's. Lin Jiadong was also born from Li Xiuji's belly. She was obviously not favored. Even Lin Jiaxue can't compare to her. From childhood to adulthood, she had never eaten a chicken leg and could only look at Miao Miao with envy. Li Xiuji had just poured wine for Lin Wanshu, Qin Yan, and Lin Jiaxue. When they met, none of them drank, so they winked at Lin Jimin. In Lin Jimin's eyes, but after hesitating for a moment, he still picked up the wine glass. Wanshu, Qin Yan, Daddy wants to toast you and wish you success in your career. This was said in a very proper way, but Lin Jimin's eyes flickered. Lin Wanshu became more and more confused. She lowered her eyes to look at the wine in the glass, hesitated for a moment, and then picked it up. But just as he put it to his lips, he heard Chi-Chi screaming, "No, you can't drink this wine." Lin Wanshu had no intention of drinking it. She just wanted to smell this so-called medicinal wine. When she heard Qiqi's words, she felt a chill in her heart. There is something wrong with this wine. Lin Jimin knew about it, but he still acquiesced to Li Xiuji's behavior. In my mind, Qiqi's voice continues. This wine has been spiked, don't drink it. She's now low on energy, and she can't find out what medicine it is. Because she couldn't find out what was wrong. If it turns out to be something fatal, I'll be in trouble too. Although her life is meaningless now, she just works every day. But as the saying goes, a good death is worse than a miserable life. Therefore, in addition to helping them farm and generate electricity every day, Qiqi's job is to give Lin Wanshu early warnings at any time to prevent her from encountering any dangerous emergencies. Qiqi felt extremely helpless, but there was nothing she could do. Lin Wanshu didn't let her go. She would be tied to her for the rest of her life. Although she had already guessed it, Lin Wanshu's heart still went cold when she heard Qiqi's confirmation. Can you find out what medicine it is? In fact, Lin Wanshu knew exactly what Qiqi's current strength was. But she still couldn't help but ask. Qiqi said helplessly, I can't find it, just don't drink it. After hearing her say this, Lin Wanshu did not ask any more questions. But the fingertips of the hand holding the cup were slightly white. Lin Jimin treat himself like this? Isn't she his biological daughter? Even a tiger will eat its own cubs, so how can a human heart be so cruel? It's good wine, but I can't drink it. Lin Wanshu put down the cup and looked straight at Lin Jimin. It was as if I wanted to see through his chest to see if his heart was black. Lin Jimin's heart skipped a beat when he met her all-seeing gaze. He turned his head away in embarrassment. Li Xiuji saw that she didn't drink. Her expression changed for a moment, but soon she forced a smile. Oh, right. I forgot you still need milk. Since Wanshu can't drink it, then Qin Yan, you drink it. Don't waste it. Your father-in-law has already made the wine and is waiting for you to come back. Li Xiuji urged people to drink enthusiastically. Lin Jimin's lips were tightly pursed, and his expression was visibly tense and unnatural. Lin Wanshu's eyes. I was about to remind Qin Yan not to drink. I heard him say coldly, Sorry, I don't drink. Lin Wanshu. Li Xiuji thought he was kidding. How could there be any man in the team who couldn't drink? Lin Jimin saw that he didn't drink. He couldn't help but breathe a sigh of relief. But after being kicked under the table by Li Xiuji, he had no choice but to persuade others. This wine is not strong enough to make you drunk. You can try it. However, no matter what he said, Qin Yan remained indifferent. After all the persuasion, Lin Jimin had no choice but to give up. Li Xiuji was so anxious that she wanted to pry open Qin Yan's mouth and force him to drink a few glasses of wine. But her remaining rationality told her that she couldn't do that. Finally, she suppressed her anxiety and said half-jokingly, This son-in-law is different now that he is an official. He doesn't like our country medicinal wine anymore. Old Lin, I think you should stop trying to persuade him. Clearly told Lin Jimin to stop persuading him, but who couldn't hear the meaning behind her words. This was almost like pointing at Qin Yan's nose and scolding him for being disrespectful to his father-in-law and looking down on them. What a good trick of provoking the opponent by retreating in order to advance. Lin Wanshu was almost amused by this couple. What exactly did they want to do by drugging Qin Yan? Under the table, Qin Yan reached out and patted her hand to comfort her. Then he picked up the wine and said to Lin Jimin, Since my father-in-law insists on letting me drink, then I will respectfully obey your command. With a hint of meaning made Lin Jimin's face turn purple. Qin Yan ignored him, picked up the wine, paused, and then drank it all in one gulp. Lin Wanshu's heart tightened and she subconsciously grabbed Qin Yan's hand, but she felt that the wine in the glass was poured into the space. She was relieved to see that he didn't drink. Li Xiuji, however, was delighted and kept persuading him. Qin Yan didn't refuse anymore. As long as she persuaded him, he would drink. At some point, Lin Jiaxue had left the table and didn't come back for a long time. Lin Wanshu inexplicably thought of Su Qiuyan and Lu Jingsong, and the coldness in her eyes became increasingly unsuppressible. Wine was poured into the space, one cup after another, and Qin Yan pretended to be drunk at the right time. In Li Xiuji's eyes, and she winked at Lin Jimin. Lin Jimin's hands were trembling slightly, and his heart seemed to be in his throat. His lips moved, but the words that were on the tip of his tongue could not come out. Li Xiuji's eyes turned cold, and she stepped heavily on Lin Jimin again. Lin Jimin almost jumped up. Seeing Li Xiuji's warning look, he made up his mind and said to Lin Wanshu, "Wanshu, your mother left something behind. I originally planned to keep it for myself as a souvenir, but now I think it's more appropriate to give it to you for safekeeping." Heard that he had even moved out the things left by his mother just to plot against her. She couldn't help but want to laugh. After laughing, I felt very sad. Maybe my grandfather didn't expect that one day he would make a mistake. The honest and kind Lin Jimin turned out to be such a heartless person. "What is it?" Lin Wanshu heard herself say this. Her voice was incredibly calm. "You'll find out if you follow me." Lin Jimin spoke, his eyes still flickered, not daring to meet Lin Wanshu's. Under the table, Qin Yan held Lin Wanshu's hand, as if to comfort her and tell her not to be sad. Lin Wanshu half lowered her eyes. "Are you sad?" "Not really. After all, it's not the first day that she knows what kind of person Lin Jimin is." Her affection for him had long since disappeared in the day-to-day disappointment. The little bit of kindness she had left was completely destroyed the moment he plotted against her. He held Qin Yan's hand with his backhand, signaling him not to worry. Lin Wanshu then said to Lin Jimin, "Then take me to see it. It's time to put an end to it." Listening to her unusually calm voice, Lin Jimin's eyelids twitched, his heart was beating fast, and he had an inexplicable bad premonition. But the arrow is on the string and has to be shot. It has come to this point, there is no way he can turn back. He gritted his teeth, stood up, and was about to lead Lin Wanshu to the main room. Xiao Miaomiao didn't know what was going on, but she had a psychological trauma from Lin Yaoming and his dog. When she saw her mother was about to leave, she jumped off the stool and followed her. The Lin family had many people, so originally they only had a main hall and 2 rooms on the left and right. Later, they added 2 rooms behind the main hall. Lin Jimin and his wife lived in the room on the left side of the main hall, and Lin Yaoqing lived in the room on the right side of the main hall. Lin Wanshu got married. She lived with Lin Jiaxue and Lin Jiadong in the room on the left side behind the main hall, while Lin Yaoming lived in the room on the right side. After entering the main room, Lin Jimin walked towards the room on the left. Lin Wanshu did not follow and waited in the main hall. In fact, she knew what it was like inside without going in. Before she got married, she was the one who cleaned the house inside and out, including the room of Lin Jimin and his wife. It's also where her mother once lived. Lin Wanshu lowered her eyes, and her 2 cold hands clenched into fists for some reason. "Mother?" Miao Miao noticed that her mother was in a bad mood, so she raised her little hand and held the clenched fist. Lin Wanshu came back to her senses when she heard her daughter's uneasy voice. Crouching down, she touched her head. "Mom is fine, Miao Miao, don't worry." But Miao Miao was still worried, so she opened her arms and hugged Lin Wanshu's neck. "Miao Miao is here. Miao Miao will protect you." Hearing her sweet, comforting voice, Lin Wanshu's heart softened instantly. The chill in my heart was also dispelled a little. I don't know how long it took, but Lin Jimin finally came out. In his hand was a thin photo. Lin Wanshu paused, stood up, and stared at the 5-inch photo in his hand, her heart beating uncontrollably. Could it be that she wants that? Tao Xianyun died. Lin Wanshu was already 6 years old. Of course, she knew what her mother looked like. But after all, 2 lifetimes have passed. The memories of childhood are gradually fading away, and even that face has gradually become blurred. The only impression I have is of my mother dragging her skinny body and grinding the tree bark she had found with great difficulty into powder for her to eat. Thinking back to that sunken cheek, Lin Wanshu's eyes couldn't help but feel a little sour. But she didn't want to show such emotions in front of Lin Jimin, so she blinked and forced herself to suppress the discomfort. Lin Jimin's steps seemed a little heavy, and he even turned the photo in his hand over. It's as if he doesn't dare to face the person in the photo. It was only a few steps away, but it felt like a century had passed. When he finally reached Lin Wanshu, he paused before raising his hand, which seemed to weigh 1,000 pounds. "This is a picture of your mother." Lin Jimin's throat seemed to be blocked by something, and he barely squeezed out a sound. Heard that it was indeed a photo of her mother. Her heart skipped a beat. Without any hesitation, she raised her hand to take it. Lin Jimin subconsciously clutched the photo, as if trying to hold on to something. Lin Wanshu smiled coldly. The person is dead, and he has suffered for so many years. Who is he pretending to be affectionate for now?
Take it.
She spoke each word with great emphasis, her voice sounding like ice that had not melted for 1,000 years. Lin Jimin moved his lips as if he wanted to say something, but in the end he said nothing. The hand loosened little by little, and the photo was carefully taken away. The moment the handover was completed, Lin Jimin suddenly felt a little panicked. It was as if something was about to completely disappear from his life. Lin Wanshu took the photo and turned it over to take a look. On it was a young and beautiful woman. Looking at that youthful face with a sweet smile, Lin Wanshu could no longer control herself, and her eyes turned red. "Mother, this is Mom when she's not hungry." It was the face she remembered. Reaching out and carefully stroking that face, Lin Wanshu's vision had become blurred. Lin Jimin looked at her, tears falling and her face full of grievance, and suddenly he panicked.
Saw the...
I don't know whether this sorry was directed at Lin Wanshu or the person in the photo. Lin Wanshu laughed, and her laugh was quite sarcastic. "You rewrite. You really shouldn't keep my mother's photo because you don't deserve it." Hearing the words, "You don't deserve it," Lin Jimin seemed to have suffered a huge blow and took 2 steps back heavily. Anyone who has seen him and Tao Xianyan standing together has a look of confusion on their face. It seemed as if she didn't understand why Tao Xianyan would marry a farmer like him who had nothing and could only work in the fields. She is so beautiful and has such a good temper. Every time Lin Jimin woke up at night, he felt like he was dreaming. While he was grateful for his good luck, he couldn't help but become suspicious, as if he was schizophrenic. It was not until she died and he married Li Xiuji that Lin Jimin finally felt at ease. But how could he easily forget such a beautiful woman when he once had her? For some unknown reason, he kept the only photo of her and hid it secretly until now, and no one knows about it. But when he heard Lin Wanshu's words, "unworthy," Lin Jimin felt like a despicable man who had stolen a fairy's clothes and secretly trapped the fairy at home, and was finally exposed. "Sorry," Lin Jimin murmured again. He didn't know why he allowed Li Xiuji to abuse the daughter left to him by the fairy, just like he didn't know why he didn't give her that bite of food in the first place. For most of his life, he has been living in a daze and confusion. Lin Wanshu used the bag as a cover to carefully place the photo into the space. He raised his head and looked straight at Lin Jimin. "No need, your apology is worthless." From the moment he acquiesced to Li Xiuji's plot against him, he was already dead in her heart. She no longer wanted to maintain the little bit of face she had left. Hearing her decisive words, Lin Jimin's face turned pale. His lips moved, and he wanted to tell her to be careful of Li Xiuji, but he felt that he could not bear Li Xiuji's anger. Hesitating, suddenly, Li Xiuji's angry voice came from the back of the main room. "Qin Yan, I treated you to delicious food and drinks. How could you treat my daughter like this?" Hearing that it was exactly as she expected, Lin Wanshu sneered. "Is this your purpose? What do you want to do?" Lin Jimin didn't expect her to ask this. When he met her gaze that seemed to have guessed everything, he felt cold all over.
I.
He moved his lips, but couldn't utter a complete sentence for a long time. Behind the main hall, Li Xiuji was still cursing something. Xiao Miao Miao was so scared that she held Lin Wanshu's hand tightly. Lin Wanshu touched her head and comforted her. "Don't be afraid. Mom is here." After saying that, he carried her out. Lin Jimin followed behind with a pale face, looking both guilty and uneasy. Apart from these, there was also a secret sense of relief in his heart at having successfully accomplished something. "It doesn't matter. My son-in-law is so capable. What does this little thing mean to him? They are all family members. If they don't tell anyone, no one will know." Comforting himself in this way, his complexion gradually improved. Lin Wanshu, he would go back and comfort her. She must understand herself. Lin Wanshu carried Miao Miao out of the main hall. She said to her, "Miao Miao, Mommy is going to play a game with you. Cover your ears and don't let go until Mommy calls you, okay? If you win, Mommy will give you a reward." Miao Miao didn't know what was going on, but when she heard that there were rewards for playing games, her eyes lit up. "Yeah, I see." As she said this, she obediently covered her ears. Lin Wanshu then carried her to the back of the main room. There are big wolf dogs here, and the malicious Lin Yaoming. She is worried and cannot let Miao Miao out of her sight. Lin Wanshu approached the room where she used to sleep. She vaguely heard an ambiguous voice coming from inside. "Qin Yan. Qin Yan." Lin Joshua's voice, which sounded like both joy and crying, reached her ears. Lin Wanshu's face turned dark, and she couldn't help but feel nauseous in her heart. When Li Xiuji saw Lin Wanshu coming, a hint of ecstasy flashed across her eyes. Pressed it down hard again. She had no intention of stopping the people inside. Instead, she put her hands on her hips and glared at Lin Wanshu. "Lin Wanshu, you came just in time. Look at what your man has done. In order to entertain you, I killed an old hen that I have raised for several years and took out the wine that I have collected for many years. He ate and drank his fill, and now he treats my Joshua like this?" Hearing this, Lin Wanshu smiled coldly. "What's wrong with my man? Isn't he fine? Your daughter is too shameless. She is already married, but she still covets other people's men. She does such a shameful thing in her parents' home. You don't feel ashamed, but I feel ashamed that my ears are dirty." Lin Wanshu's reaction was somewhat unexpected to Li Xiuji. But when she thought about how she was in the main room just now and didn't know what was going on here, she snorted again and said, "Your husband just said he felt dizzy, so I asked him to go to Yaoming's room to sleep. I saw him walking to the back of the main room with my own eyes, and now Joshua is still calling his name. He must have taken advantage of Joshua's rest to enter this room." Li Xiuji did not say that she saw Qin Yan enter the room with her own eyes, to avoid being discovered by Lin Wanshu. "Anyway, my daughter has been calling Qin Yan's name, so it must be right." For the sake of her son Lin Yaocheng, Li Xiuji no longer has time to care about many things. Even if it means sacrificing the innocence of one's own daughter, it is worth it. If that's the case, then call Secretary Chow. I also want to see if he's in there. Lin Wanshu said slowly. She didn't say to call him captain. After all, the current captain is her father-in-law Qin Jinbang. Li Xiuji didn't expect that she would not play by the rules, and was suddenly a little surprised and confused. "Think carefully. If I really call Secretary Chow here, your husband's future will be ruined. We are all family, and I don't want to do anything so extreme. If she had been sensible and cooperated with me, she wouldn't have gotten to that point. Otherwise, don't blame her for making a big deal out of it. At that time, not only would she have to pay compensation, but she would also lose Qin Yan's job. As for Lin Joshua, she will understand herself. After all, this is the only bloodline left by her father. What's wrong with her sacrificing her reputation for her brother?" Hearing her threatening words, Lin Wanshu couldn't help but sneer. "A family? Li Xiuji, when you say this, don't you feel guilty? She was able to survive this long was because Qin Yan secretly supported her. Otherwise, she would have starved to death as a child. She has done so many bad things to me. Why are we still talking about being a family now?" Li Xiuji had an inexplicable ominous premonition in her heart. But her son Yaocheng's matter had already made her desperate to try all kinds of methods, so she had no time to think about why Lin Wanshu's reaction was so strange. What's more, he saw Qin Yan enter the room with his own eyes. The person inside must be Qin Yan, there is no doubt about it. "Okay, since you said so, I will go and call Secretary Chow. I hope you won't regret it." Hearing this, Lin Jiamin suddenly became anxious. He opened his arms and blocked Li Xiuji's way. "Xiuji, didn't you promise us to solve this privately? How can you call Secretary Chow? If the matter really gets out of hand and his son-in-law loses his job?" Li Xiuji was unhappy as her way was blocked by the coward. "I've already given her a chance. It's because she refused to cooperate that I'm going to find Secretary Chow. Get out of my way. Hearing this, Lin Jiamin had no choice but to turn around and persuade Lin Wanshu. Wanshu, let's talk privately. Don't tell Secretary Chow about this. Otherwise, it won't be good for anyone. You're my daughter, and I don't want to make things difficult for you. Lin Wanshu almost vomited from laughing when she saw his expression that seemed to be doing him good for her. I'm so sorry. You still remember that I'm your daughter. I thought my mother came from the country of women and took me with her. These sarcastic words made Lin Jiamin's face turn red and white, feeling both embarrassed and awkward.
How? How can you say that?
You dare to do this, and you are afraid of what I say? Lin Wanshu looked at his cowardly appearance and felt disgusted when she thought that half of his blood was flowing in her body. Finally, as if she was afraid of dirtying her own eyes, she retracted her gaze and said to Li Xiaozhi, "Go and call Secretary Chow." Why don't you go? Are you afraid? Li Xiaozhi heard this. She was so angry that she lost her mind. She pushed Lin Jiamin away and stormed out angrily. Just wait for her. Wait until she calls Secretary Chow over. She will regret it later. Lin Jiamin saw that she really went to call for help. He stamped his feet in anxiety. You are so confused. Why do you want to irritate her? This is obviously an easy problem to solve, isn't it? He was just borrowing some money from them and would pay her back later. Why make a big deal out of it? Lin Wanshu looked at him coldly as he was in a panic, with a dull look on her face. It's such a pity for her mother. Such a beautiful and kind person actually married such a scumbag who pretends to be honest. Li Xiaozhi acted quickly, and soon Secretary Chow came over with several militiamen. When he heard that it was a hooligan incident and that it involved Qin Yan, he became as excited as a fly smelling rotten eggs. Obviously, he was the brigade secretary, and his position was higher than Qin Jinbang, but he was always suppressed by him. Now that his son is in trouble, how can he still be so powerful in the future? What happened? Chao Dinghua arrived at the scene. He asked in a pretentious manner. Li Xiaozhi's eyes were still a little red. While wiping her tears, she choked up and recounted the whole story. Everyone, please judge for yourself. I don't think I have done anything wrong to Qin Yan. How could he treat my daughter like this? He took advantage of being drunk to do such a thing. How can my Jiaxue live her life in the future? Hearing this, the people who had come to watch the fun were suddenly in an uproar. Qin Yan, a deputy head of a group, actually behaved like a hooligan? He did something to insult women? But if it's not true, what's the sound inside? It couldn't be that Lin Jiaxue was the only one screaming in there, right? Hearing the loud screams that got louder and louder, the men present couldn't help but blush. I didn't realize that Lin Jiaxue, who is usually so well-mannered, is actually so beautiful girlty in private. This is outrageous. Even if you are the deputy head of the group, you can't treat a female comrade like this. You are breaking the law knowingly, which is a heavier crime. After listening to this, Chao Dinghua said it with an angry look on his face and waved to the militiamen behind him. You guys break down the door and stop the criminal activities inside. The militiamen just heard about catching hooligans and didn't know who they were going to catch. When they heard that it was Qin Yan, they all stood there in a daze, looking at each other, and no one dared to step forward. That's Qin Yan, the most upright person. How could he do such a thing? What's wrong with you guys? Why don't you go quickly? The militiamen were supposed to obey the command of the captain. Chao Dinghua temporarily transferred a few of them over, but he didn't expect that they still didn't listen to him. He suddenly became angry and anxious, and shouted in a rough voice. Hearing this, several people had no choice but to bite the bullet and walk to the door. The leader, Chen Dongqiang, knocked on the door. Whoever's inside, open the door. However, after he knocked several times, Lin Jiaxue's voice not only did not stop, but became even more uncontrollable. The sound made some men bleed from their noses. The women couldn't help but curse, shameless. A small number of people also noticed Lin Wanshu standing in the corner, and they couldn't help but cast sympathetic glances towards her. Pitiful that such an excellent and beautiful woman, but her man is still with another woman. As expected, all men in this world are unreliable. A moment, the entire backyard was in an uproar. Some people were talking about Qin Yan, some were talking about Lin Jiaxue, and some were talking about Lin Wanshu, who was responsible for this event, did not feel the slightest bit worried about her own daughter. Instead, she was trembling with excitement. As long as he opens this door, Qin Yan will be ruined. Lin Wanshu wanted to live a glorious life.
Pa.
No matter how much salary they earn, they should use it all to compensate her. Amid the noise, Chen Dongqiang led 3 militiamen and began to knock on the door. In those days, every household was not well off, and doors were basically made of wood. How could they withstand the pounding of several grown men? After just 2 or 3 hits, it was knocked open with a bang. The door opened. A colorful figure appeared on the bed on the left. Her face was flushed, her expression was dazed, and her indescribable movements made people's blood boil. Just as everyone was staring at Lin Jiaxue, someone suddenly asked in confusion, "Where's Qin Yan? Didn't they say he was being a hooligan?" After hearing this, everyone suddenly woke up from their dream. After taking a closer look, sure enough, apart from Lin Jiaxue, who kept calling Qin Yan's name, there was no sign of Qin Yan. Just when everyone was confused, someone outside the crowd suddenly shouted, "Qin Yan is here. He brought the police." Hearing this, everyone was shocked. Li Xiuji felt as if struck by lightning and was unable to recover for a long time. How so? Where is Qin Yan? She clearly saw him go in with her own eyes. Why did he disappear? Just when she was anxiously thinking about what to do with her plan, she heard someone outside shouting that Qin Yan was coming with the police. Heard the word, public security, her eyes went dark and she felt as if she was about to collapse. Lin Jimin's face turned pale, and he looked incredulous. How could he report it to the police? It was obviously just a small matter. As long as he cooperated with them and borrowed some money to redeem Lin Yaocheng, it would be fine. Why make such a big fuss? When the police heard that it was a deputy regiment commander of the army who reported the case and said that someone had drugged him, they were scared to death. I didn't care about much at that time, I just rode my bike and flew over like I had wings. At this moment, seeing a crowd of people watching something, the leading captain shouted, "Move aside, the police are here, let us in." When they heard the police were coming, everyone subconsciously made way. Just now, everyone was just watching Lin Jiaxue, and no one thought of going forward to cover her with a blanket. Now the police came, but she still remained the same. The police officer walking in front was a young man. How could he have seen such a scene before? He couldn't help but blush. Finally, he ordered 2 ants to put clothes on her. Then, based on Qin Yan's identification, the trembling Li Xiuji was detained. And just at this moment, Qin Jinbong also came over. When he heard that Li Xiuji wanted to drug his son, he was furious. This is the most promising son of their Qin family. He almost died on the front line defending his country. How could she harm him like this?
Ace. Ace.
We must interrogate him thoroughly. Why did he frame our Qin Yan? We must give us an explanation. Even without him saying anything, the police were eager to interrogate the woman on the spot. Is there shoot in her head? This person is from the military, and he's a deputy regiment commander. Did she know what being the deputy head meant? How dare she drug him and frame him?
You really don't know how to live or die.
Captain Qin, rest assured, we will investigate this thoroughly and give Deputy Captain Qin an explanation. Public Security Captain Tan Yongchao couldn't help but wipe the sweat from his forehead. It's true that when you are in the middle of a situation, the blame comes from the sky. In their jurisdiction, Li Xiuji was still calculating how much money Qin Yan should pay in the previous second, and was detained the next second. At this moment, both legs were shaking like sieves.
No. No.
It shouldn't be like this, you can't arrest me. She was arrested. What about her son? Lin Jimin. Save me.
Please save me.
Li Xiuji shouted at Lin Jimin with a horrified look on her face. But Lin Jimin subconsciously shrank back, as if he was afraid that the police would notice him and arrest him. Listening to Li Xiuji's cries for help, he wished he could cover his ears and pretend he couldn't hear anything. What can he do? He is just a farmer. But soon, he didn't need to hide anymore, because the police handcuffed him too.
No, no.
You can't arrest me. It has nothing to do with me. It's Li Xiuji. She was the one who ordered it all. Li Xiuji and Lin Jimin were both taken away together. Also taken away was the unemptied wine in the jug. Lin Jiadong looked at Li Xiuji, whose hair was disheveled and who was shouting like a mad woman, with a dazed look on her face. There was neither fear nor worry. It's like a puppet without a soul. And this dazed face suddenly turned pale when he heard people talking obscenely about Lin Joshua. Mom, how could she do this? That's my sister. Why treat her like this? The children in the village all mature precociously. Although Lin Jiadong is not even 10 years old, she already has a sense of shame. I am also confused about some things. Knowing that it was her mother who drugged her sister in order to harm her brother-in-law, she couldn't help but tremble. Is this really their mother? Why is she scarier than the devil? Before Lin Jimin was taken away, he finally remembered his most promising daughter. Wan Shu, please save me. Dad didn't mean it. I was forced to do it. He pleaded helplessly, hoping that Lin Wan Shu could help him. Response he got was a cold look from Lin Wan Shu. Go explain this to the police. Taking action against Qin Yan had already touched her weak spot. Lin Wan Shu also agreed to this result. She would have no sympathy or mercy, even if he gave her a life. Lin Jimin was taken away with a look of despair on his face. No one had any sympathy for his arrest. It is said that if there is a stepmother, there is a stepfather. If it weren't for his indulgence, would Li Xiuji dare to treat Lin Wanshu like this? No one would harm their own child like this. If Qin Yan had not been so vigilant today, what would have been the fate that awaited him? Labor reform is always a light punishment. You might even get shot. But he knew the consequences would be so serious, and still did it. How can anyone sympathize with such a person? As for Li Xiuji, she was notorious to begin with, and the women in the team had suffered a lot from her. When they saw her being captured, everyone couldn't help but applaud. The only victim, Lin Joshua, immediately became the topic of conversation among the team members. Especially her miserable appearance was seen by so many people. In private, the men gathered in groups of 3 or 5, each describing the scene in vivid detail. Those who have seen it are savoring it endlessly, while those who haven't seen it are beating their chests and stamping their feet, and keep questioning those who have seen it. Romantic topics always spread the fastest. Within 2 days, Wu Dahong heard his wife lying on the bed in her parents' home, thinking about another man. The feeling of a green cloud looming over his head made him furious. Beat Lin Joshua severely. After beating her, he collected her clothes, carried her, and threw her out the door. Get out of here right now. I, Wu Dahong, can't afford a woman like you. Lin Joshua has been in a daze since she woke up. I have no idea what happened. She only vaguely remembered that her mother asked her to help. As for what kind of favor she needed, she didn't say much. After drinking a few glasses of wine, Lin Joshua's consciousness became a little fuzzy. Lying on the bed before getting married, I don't know why, I thought of Qin Yan's tall, long-legged, and imposing appearance, and my whole body couldn't help but become hot. After that, she didn't know what happened. Or rather, it's not that she didn't know, but she just didn't dare to think about it. She actually did that in front of so many people. Everything that should be seen and shouldn't be seen was seen. Lin Joshua hid back home like a turtle, living in constant fear. But what is coming will come sooner or later. Being beaten, she finally felt that the dust had settled. She hugged Wu Dahong's legs and knelt on the ground begging. No, don't chase me away. Dahong, I know I was wrong. Please forgive me. But Wu Dahong has now become a joke in everyone's eyes. Whenever he goes out, people look at him with strange eyes. Behind his back, and called him a cuckold. He wanted to kill Lin Joshua, so how could he possibly forgive her? Zhang Yinju was even more furious. He was not satisfied with this countrywoman in the first place, and now she had done such a shameless thing, and dared to ask for forgiveness? Was so angry that she went up to her and kicked her hard a few times. Get out of here right now. If you don't, I'll beat you to death." Lin Jiaxue was kicked so hard that she saw stars and foamed at the mouth. Finally, she couldn't bear it anymore and could only flee in panic, holding her clothes. But she had no job and no place to live, so she had nowhere to go. "I wandered around the commune for 2 days, facing everyone's strange looks, and almost ran into hooligans. I had no choice but to return to the Red Star Brigade again." In the Red Star Brigade, Lin Jimin was released because he was not the mastermind and did not cause any specific harm to Qin Yan. But before he could breathe a sigh of relief, Lin Wanshu came with Qin Jinbong, Chao Dinghua, and several militiamen. "I asked you to come here today to bear witness for me. I want to sever my relationship with Lin Jimin." Hearing this, Lin Jimin was stunned, and the blood in his body seemed to be frozen. "Wanshu, what did you say?" he asked in disbelief. Didn't Qin Yan suffer any loss? Why was the situation so serious that he had to sever the relationship?
No.
"I don't agree. How could she break up with him? This was ridiculous." Lin Wanshu looked at him calmly. "I just came here to inform you, not to discuss with you. If you don't agree, I can just put it in the newspaper and it will be the same." She couldn't stand being involved with him for even a second. Let him take Li Xiuji and her children and let them rot in this family. Hearing this, Lin Jimin staggered, as if he could not accept this fact. How did it come to this? He muttered to himself. When the people who came over to watch heard this, they couldn't help but spit at him.
Bah!
"Lin Jimin, please be a decent person. Your wife is so vicious that she wants to kill Qin Yan, but you not only didn't stop her, but you also helped her. How can you have the nerve to say such things?" The investigation into Li Xiuji's frame-up of Qin Yan has already revealed its true colors. It turned out that she knew it was impossible for her to borrow money from Lin Wanshu, so she planned to get Qin Yan's handle to blackmail him for money, so as to save his good-for-nothing son. Lin Jimin, this fool, not only does not know how to take care of his own promising daughter, but he also frames his son-in-law for the sake of his good-for-nothing stepson. Who wouldn't call him mentally ill if they heard this? Seeing that no one understood him, Lin Jimin felt confused and helpless. Why is this happening? He just wants everyone to be well, is he wrong? Because what Lin Jimin did was so evil and so unpopular. Everyone stood on Lin Wanshu's side. Severance of the relationship went incredibly smoothly. Lin Jimin pressed his fingerprints on a piece of paper with trembling hands. My mind went blank. At this moment, he suddenly realized what he had lost. But it's too late. Lin Wanshu received the letter of severance of engagement. She left with Qin Yan without even looking at Lin Jimin. She left the house. Lin Jiaxue returned to the Lin family. As soon as she entered the room and saw Lin Jimin, who was in a daze, her anger burned her mind directly. She picked up the carrying pole by the door and hit him hard.
Why?
Why do you want to hurt me like this? I will beat you to death. The person she hated the most was actually Li Xiuji. Isn't she her biological daughter? Why did she do this to herself? Hasn't she ever thought about how she'll behave in the future? After being laughed at, talked about, and even molested during these past 2 days, Lin Jiaxue hated the couple. However, Li Xiuji is still detained in the Public Security Bureau and has not been released, so she can only vent all her anger on Lin Jimin. Lin Jimin is a grown man, and it is impossible for him to be beaten by a woman. But he was still immersed in the grief of being severed by Lin Wanshu. What's more, Lin Jiaxue was holding a carrying pole in her hand and acted like a madman, beating him randomly. He had no way to resist at all. In the end, he had no choice but to flee in a panic, was beaten so badly that his whole body was covered with bruises, and he felt very aggrieved. Why did they all treat him like this? What had he done wrong? Lin Jiaxue returned to the Red Star Brigade. Rumors continued to follow her. Whenever she went out, she was met with obscene teasing from men. How could she, who had been pursued by men in the past, bear this? In the end, she simply didn't dare to go out, and just planned to wait until Wu Dahong calmed down, and then she would go back to coax him. Here, Lin Jiaxue was like a rat crossing the street, hiding here and there. On the other hand, After He Manxiang had been recuperating for 10 days, her waist was completely healed, just as Lin Wanshu had said. Originally, she wanted to lie in bed and be lazy for a few days, preferably until the new year. But I didn't expect that I would be caught by my mother-in-law when I went to the toilet. He immediately took a broom and beat her up. No matter how hard a broom hits someone, it will only cause minor skin injuries and will not hurt tendons or bones. He Manxiang was beaten so hard that she cried loudly. In the end, she had no choice but to accept her fate and go to work. The Chinese New Year is just 2 or 3 days away. Because of my injury, there is basically no one doing the housework. Everyone has to wait until she recovers. Washing clothes and cooking, my mother-in-law doesn't even do any cleaning of the house. He Manxiang got out of bed. She started cleaning the house inside and out. After cleaning, you can't rest, you have to go up the mountain to chop firewood. After lying in bed for more than 10 days, how could she bear to do so much work all of a sudden? I was so tired that I felt my waist bones started to ache again. Looking at the 2 solid bundles of firewood, He Manxiang looked worried. Why did Lin Wanshu find everything so easy in my previous life? Why is everything so difficult when it's my turn? When will Zhao Mingyuan start doing business? She can't stand it any longer. Just as He Manxiang was pounding her waist with a bitter face, suddenly, a caring voice came from behind her. Manxiang, your waist has just healed, right? Why are you out working now? It's Wang Yongsheng. If it had happened a few days ago, He Manxiang would have definitely asked him to get out. But her waist was aching slightly, and she was really too tired, so she didn't say anything unpleasant this time. Wang Yongsheng took advantage of the situation and saw that she did not refuse him, so he quickly said, "This firewood is too heavy. Your waist is just right, you can't carry it. Let me do it. Anyway, I have a good relationship with Mingyuan." After hearing what he said, He Manxiang, who didn't really want to refuse, didn't say anything. Wang Yongsheng knew that she had acquiesced, and he was delighted. He picked up the firewood and gestured to her excitedly. "You walk in front, and I will protect you from behind." I have to say that Wang Yongsheng is quite good at coaxing people. Even though He Manxiang looked down on him in her heart, she felt very warmed by what she heard. He didn't refuse and walked ahead. The day after tomorrow is New Year's Eve, and most of the firewood on the mountain has been picked up. She walked a long way before she picked up 2 bundles of firewood. From here, the 2 walked one after the other. Wang Yongsheng hadn't been close to her for 2 months and was missing her very much at the moment.
His gaze did not shrink.
He Manxiang worked in a special industry in her previous life. How perceptive was she to men's gazes? Zhao Mingyuan didn't know what was going on. Recently, she had been teasing him openly and secretly, but he never showed any intention of getting intimate with her. He Manxiang is a healthy woman both physically and mentally. Moreover, she has experienced a lot in her previous life, so her needs in that aspect are naturally great. He never gave it to her, and she missed it badly. Being stared at by a man with such passion at this moment, she couldn't help but feel her heart beating faster. In the end, she didn't know whether her legs were weak or something tripped her, but she stumbled.
Careful.
Wang Yongsheng threw down the firewood and rushed forward to support the man. He Manxiang was pulled by a strong force. Her center of gravity was unstable, and she screamed and fell directly into the man's arms.
Noskolin, Noribyuk.
Wang Yongsheng quickly noticed her abnormality and was immediately delighted. Sure enough, his strategy was right. He just kept satisfying her, but she didn't know how to appreciate her own goodness. Now he was keeping her hanging, and sure enough, she took the bait. Without any hesitation, he hugged the person and kissed her eagerly, not caring that they were still outside. That eager movement made He Manxiang feel indescribable, and her whole body became weaker and weaker. Just let his lips kiss you passionately. But as they kissed, He Manxiang suddenly realized something was wrong. Why does this smell look so familiar? Like those invisible kisses in the night. This discovery suddenly made He Manxiang sober up. Looking at the man in front of her who was kissing her obsessively, she was shocked and scared. He pushed him away suddenly, raised his hand, and slapped him hard. "You are obscene." After cursing, She picked up her firewood and ran away quickly. Wang Yongxing didn't expect that he would be slapped in the face while kissing. He was so angry that he kicked the stone next to him. But the stone was actually buried in the ground, with only a corner exposed. Not only did he fail to kick the stone away, but his foot was also hurt. When He Manxiang returned home, she locked herself in the room with a bang, her face full of fear. Why did Wang Yongxing's kiss feel so familiar? Obviously, she had nothing to do with him. Recalling those nights, Zhao Mingyuan would always turn off the lights and even blindfold her. Originally, He Manxiang thought this was his special hobby and was happy to cooperate. But now thinking about it, I feel inexplicably frightened. Could it be that the man at night was not Zhao Mingyuan, but actually Wang Yongxing? He Manxiang was shocked by her own thoughts. Just thinking about it, He Manxiang felt it was too absurd. She was Zhao Mingyuan's legally married wife and had given birth to a son for him. Even if he didn't like her, could it be possible that he didn't want a son of his own? Soon, He Manxiang rejected this inexplicable idea. Just thought that the kiss was a coincidence and that such a thing could never happen. After comforting herself over and over again in her heart, He Manxiang finally calmed down. Thinking that there was still a lot of work to do at home, she didn't dare to delay. After smoothing her hair and tying it up again, He Manxiang went out to cook. And just at this moment, Lu Juhua also came back. Holding Zhao Jinkai in her arms, her face looked very bad.
Bah!
Your grandson doesn't look like your son. My Jinkai is so good-looking, with a full forehead and big earlobes, just like my Mingyuan. You can tell at a glance that he is a blessed child. As soon as she entered the yard, Lu Juhua started muttering curses. Hearing this, He Manxiang, who had just comforted herself, felt her heart rise to her throat again. In fact, ever since her son Jinkai was born, she has heard more than once that people say he doesn't look like Zhao Mingyuan. However, He Manxiang has always scoffed at this. I didn't cheat on my man, so how could I not know whose child the money was? After all, Zhao Mingyuan is the future richest man. She would have to be crazy to steal a child from outside. Besides, it is normal for children to not look like their parents, but like their grandfather, uncle, or grandfather. Therefore, she didn't take these words to heart. But she had just discovered that Wang Yongxing's breath was particularly familiar, and now when she heard her mother-in-law say this, the terrifying thought suddenly came to her mind again. You're asking for trouble. You haven't even cooked yet. What are you doing here? Lu Juhua was furious because someone had just talked about her precious grandson. Then she saw He Manxiang standing blankly at the kitchen door, and she became even more angry. But He Manxiang seemed not to hear anything and stared straight at her son Zhao Jinkai in her mother-in-law's arms. Once the seed of doubt was planted, He Manxiang found that everything was wrong. His son has single eyelids and puffy eyes, while Zhao Mingyuan has big eyes with double eyelids. Zhao Mingyuan had delicate features and fair skin, and looked gentle and handsome. In later generations, when he put on a suit, he looked like a nobleman. I can't say that I'm as white as Jade. I don't have dark skin either. But their son's skin is darker than both of theirs. The more she looked, the more frightened she became. Her whole body began to shake uncontrollably. Could it be that the son is really not Zhao Mingyuan's child? Did Zhao Mingyuan hire someone to cheat on him? He'd do that. Seeing that she was still motionless, Lu Juhua became increasingly angry. Raising her hand, she slapped He Manxiang hard several times. You jerk. I told you to be lazy. I told you not to work. I'll beat you to death. Being beaten up, He Manxiang finally came to her senses.
Impossible. Impossible.
She murmured. Her son must be Zhao Mingyuan's child, otherwise who will inherit his future property. I clearly didn't cheat on my husband, so how could I have given birth to someone else's child? Lu Juhua looked at her and saw that she was talking in a weird way, as if she was crazy, and she couldn't help but be frightened. He Manxiang, what are you crazy about? I'm not crazy. As He Manxiang spoke, she pushed Lu Juhua away, and without caring about her darkening face, she turned and went straight into the kitchen. No matter what the truth of this matter is, Zhao Jinkai can only be Zhao Mingyuan's son. After some hypnosis, He Manxiang calmed down again. Dinner in an orderly manner. Zhao Mingyuan also came back. Today, he is still dressed neatly and cleanly, completely different from the rough men in the team. In the past, these were He Manxiang's favorite qualities. She felt that he was worthy of being the richest man because he had strong self-discipline. But at this moment, she always felt that there was something wrong with him. Finishing her meal and taking a bath, He Manxiang carried the baby back to the house. Early in winter. It's pitch black outside at just 7 o'clock. Xiao Jinkai was very hungry and was crying loudly. In the past, He Manxiang would have started to get nervous even before her son started crying. But now, she was feeling very upset. Cry, cry, cry. Why are you crying? Are you the reincarnation of a starving ghost? After cursing, she lifted her clothes roughly and fed him. Xiao Jinkai could feel his mother's emotions. He was too hungry to care about much. He opened his mouth and started sucking. Just at this time, Zhao Mingyuan also came back from taking a shower. Seeing He Manxiang, with her white skin exposed as usual, he couldn't help but frown and turn his head away. When He Manxiang saw this, she tightened her hands unconsciously, and Xiao Jinkai was strangled so hard that he burst into tears. If you can't even take care of a baby, are you still a woman? When Zhao Mingyuan heard the child crying, he became very annoyed and scolded the child. Hearing this, He Manxiang, who had always been gentle and considerate to him, got angry for the first time.
Yes.
I just can't lead the way well. If you can lead the way well, why don't you do it? As she spoke, she stuffed the still crying Xiao Jinkai into Zhao Mingyuan's arms. Zhao Mingyuan had never held a child before. Feeling the softness in his arms, he almost threw the child away. He Manxiang, why are you going crazy? He Manxiang saw that there was no trace of pity on his face, only disgust, and her heart instantly turned cold.
Ha ha ha.
Am I crazy? Zhao Mingyuan, have you ever held the child once since he was born? Isn't he your son? Hearing He Manxiang's angry and sad questioning, Zhao Mingyuan felt inexplicably panicked. What does she mean? Fearing that his secret would be discovered, his attitude subconsciously softened. I didn't say anything. Why are you so excited? Jinkai is of course my son. After saying that, he hugged Xiao Jinkai tightly in his arms. Although he disliked the son of Wang Yongsheng and He Manxiang at this moment, he seemed to be unable to care about so much. His secret cannot be discovered by anyone. He Manxiang looked at him protecting his son in a way that was out of character, and a hint of doubt flashed across her eyes. What is going on? Did she misunderstand him? For the whole night that followed, Zhao Mingyuan showed that he attached great importance to small gains. And his attitude also slightly dispelled He Manxiang's doubts. There shouldn't be such absurd things in this world. How could Zhao Mingyuan take the initiative to find someone to cheat on him and raise someone else's child? Lin Wanxiu cured He Manxiang easily spread quickly throughout the team. In addition, everyone had heard that she had treated the leader's illness last year. A time, there was a constant stream of people coming to her for medical treatment. Of people who come to see her are because they worked in the fields for a long time in their early years, and as they get older, they have various sequelae in their bodies. The most common of these is rheumatism. Sun Shifeng also had this old problem, and Lin Wanxiu cured it for her when she was in the army. Medicines and treatment plans are readily available, and just need to be slightly adjusted based on individual differences. If the condition is not serious, just use the unified formula, take some medicine home, and take it while soaking your feet. After one course of treatment, you will basically be cured. The rheumatic pain and cold legs that had troubled everyone for many years were cured in this way, and the whole brigade was shocked. Before long, Lin Wanxiu's reputation spread throughout the entire commune. More and more people came to see her for medical treatment. Almost every day when I get up, the door is crowded with people waiting to see the doctor. Lin Wanxiu didn't have much rest throughout the new year. She treated patients and prescribed medicine during the day and researched rheumatism drugs that could be easily used at night. Qin Yan finally got a long vacation, but his wife was so busy that she couldn't even take care of him. He was so depressed. In addition to being depressed, He felt more sorry for her and was afraid that she would exhaust herself. Lin Wanshu was indeed very tired. After all, she worked so hard every day that even the spiritual spring water could not sustain her. But she knew clearly that the people in these villages had no access to good medical resources. Most of the time, they could only ask barefoot doctors to prescribe some medicine. Barefoot doctors can basically only treat simple headaches and fevers and bandage wounds, and are unable to help with complicated illnesses. For diseases like rheumatism, it would be great if you could get an ointment to apply. Therefore, Lin Wanshu adheres to the principle of helping as many people as possible and basically will not turn away anyone who comes to see her for treatment. Seeing her man in a bad mood, she felt a little amused and helpless, so she simply asked him to go to the eastern province. The map is in the usual place. Go check what it is for me. If you find it, put it in the space first. No matter what it is safer to put it in space first. When I meet my uncle master, I will pass it to him. Qin Yan didn't have much vacation time to begin with, and now that he finally got one, it was time for him to take a trip. Otherwise, I don't know when I will have the chance to go to Eastern Province next time. Thinking of this, he nodded and agreed. But before that, she had to remind herself again, and again not to work too hard, and to take care of her health. Got it. I will definitely take good care of myself. No matter what he said, Lin Wanshu nodded obediently, but the fatigue in her eyes did not make her believable at all. Qin Yan felt distressed and helpless, but he had no way to deal with her. She is unusually stubborn when it comes to seeing a doctor. In the end, he could only ask his family to help look after his mother and her 2 children before he went out. Qin Yan went to Eastern Province. Lin Jimin secretly came to Qin's house several times. However, because there were so many people, he didn't dare to go in and just wandered around outside. Hearing that those who came to see the doctor were all praising Lin Wanshu's good medical skills and noble medical ethics, he felt very complicated. It was as if I saw the father-in-law who was once respected and loved by the villagers. But such a promising daughter has now cut off ties with him. After a while, some people who had finished seeing the doctor came out. Lin Jimin was afraid of being seen, so he quickly shrank back. But it was too late. Seeing his figure, Wang Chunhua said in a somewhat gloomy tone, "Hey,
Who did I think it was?
it turned out to be Lin Jimin. Have you redeemed your son? Why haven't I heard any news about him? This is purely irrelevant. Is there anyone in the team who doesn't know that Lin Yaoqing was sentenced to 8 years of hard labor because of the phone call? Even the person who had hinted at offering $5,000 to help get him out was sent in. Li Xiuji, who was in prison awaiting sentencing, fainted on the spot when she heard that her son was sentenced to 8 years. The reason why she knew the news was that someone she had offended in the past went to the commune to visit her and inform her. Hey, how can I care about my adopted son now? He's already troubled enough by all the things at home. On the side joined in the conversation. 2 members of the Lin family went to prison, and the rest didn't have an easy time either. Lin Jiashua's reputation was already in disgrace. Her husband's family had not even obtained a marriage certificate. They just set up a few tables of wine symbolically. They just went back and didn't even need to get a divorce certificate. Wu Dahong has already started blind dating. Lin Jiashua almost cried her eyes out after hearing the news. She went to ask Wu Daheng for help every day, but she was beaten out by her ex-mother-in-law before she even saw him. The Wu family is determined to completely cut off ties with Lin Jiashua. In the end, Lin Jiashua had no choice but to return to the Lin family again. The dog raised by Lin Yaoming bit a man in the village. Not only was the dog beaten to death, but the man also had to pay compensation. Li Xiuji is not at home, so Lin Jiashua has the final say at home. Lin Jiadong's life under her was even more miserable than when her biological mother was at home. The family has now become the topic of conversation among the team members. However, everyone took into consideration Lin Wanshu's kindness and did not talk too much about Lin Jimin. The main focus was still on Li Xiuji and Lin Jiashua. Lin Jimin was ridiculed, and his face suddenly turned blue and red, feeling embarrassed and awkward. Not daring to stay here any longer, he ran away in shame. Lin Wanshu heard about Lin Jimin coming here several times, but then she didn't care anymore. From the moment she decided to break off the relationship, it was impossible for her to care about Lin Jimin anymore. How to repay kindness by repaying evil with kindness. If I hadn't been careful, Qin Yan would have been the one in trouble. No one knew better than her what the army meant to him. That was the existence he sacrificed his life for. How could she bear to let him be plotted against like this? Here, Lin Wanxi's reputation spread further and further because she had saved countless patients. On the other hand, although He Manxiang's doubts about her son's identity were slightly dispelled because of Zhao Mingyuan's changed attitude, this matter was still like a thorn in her heart. Just out of the mentality of seeking profit and avoiding harm, He Manxiang did not dare to find out the truth, fearing that the consequences would be beyond her ability to bear. He Manxiang wanted to escape, but Wang Yongsheng could no longer hold back. Especially the last kiss, it was like opening Pandora's box, completely releasing the desire that had been suppressed in his heart. Whenever he found an opportunity, he would run to He Manxiang and show his courtesy to her. In addition to the eggs that he sent her every day, he also secretly gave her a piece of cloth. His fierce offensive, He Manxiang's attitude wavered again. Once when they were collecting firewood, they kissed each other for some reason. He Manxiang, who had been single for 3 months, felt as if her whole body was being gnawed by ants. Without caring that they were outside, she just half-heartedly let the other party do whatever he wanted to her. However, at the critical moment, He Manxiang's whole body stiffened and her eyes suddenly widened. It's him. It must be him. He Manxiang is a veteran, and her perception in certain aspects is still very sharp. What's more, these two were intimate more than once or twice. It was impossible for He Manxiang to deceive herself even if she wanted to with that familiar body movement. The moment she discovered the truth, she felt as if she had fallen into an icy cave. Zhao Mingyuan really hired someone to cheat on him. Why on earth did he do this? Wang Yongsheng didn't notice anything unusual about her and wanted to go further. But before he could succeed, He Manxiang pushed him away again. Get out of here. After saying that, she covered her messy clothes and ran away in a panic. Wang Yongsheng looked at He Manxiang's back with disbelief. What does she mean? Are you kidding him? Because he was rejected repeatedly, Wang Yongsheng had no way to vent his anger, and finally could only secretly ask Zhao Mingyuan out. Zhao Mingyuan had been neglected by Wang Yongsheng for some time and was feeling depressed. Now that he finally took the initiative to find him, he was overjoyed. He immediately put on his new clothes and went out happily. He Manxiang was devastated and heartbroken because she found out her son was not Zhao Mingyuan's. I waited so long for Zhao Mingyuan to come home, but before I could ask him what happened, he took a shower, dressed neatly, and went out. Full of anger and confusion, she quietly followed. Wang Yongsheng's family, not only his parents, but also brothers. What happened between him and Zhao Mingyuan was too shocking, so how could he dare to bring him home? Every time, the two of them could only secretly find a secluded place outside to hang out. It's the same this time. Wang Yongsheng made an appointment with someone and came to the cave early to wait for Zhao Mingyuan. The location of the cave is very hidden, behind a dense bush. The entrance is very narrow, and the interior is winding. They found this cave by chance when they were playing as children. For so many years, it has never been discovered by anyone else. It naturally became a date place for the two of them. Zhao Mingyuan went through the winding passage and came out, only to see Wang Yongsheng already waiting inside. You finally found me. As soon as they met, Zhao Mingyuan said with some resentment. Wang Yongsheng's feelings towards Zhao Mingyuan were very complicated. After all, he was not born to like men. He was charmed by Zhao Mingyuan purely because he was lonely. The two of them have been childhood friends and have grown up together. With this layer of relationship, they should be even closer. But while Wang Yongsheng enjoyed the physical stimulation, he also hated this relationship that was not understood by the world. Afraid of being discovered, he increasingly longed for a normal marriage. This is also the reason why he cares more and more about He Manxiang. Because he and He Manxiang still had to be together through him, Wang Yongsheng hid the annoyance in his heart and patiently comforted her. Soon, the two of them rolled into a ball. Had quietly followed into the cave, felt like she was struck by lightning when she heard the ambiguous voices of the two men inside. Then, a feeling of nausea surged up uncontrollably. She spit it out with a sound. When Wang Yongsheng heard the noise, his whole body froze, and his heart almost stopped beating. Someone pushed Zhao Mingyuan away and rushed out without even bothering to put on his clothes. At this moment, he had only one thought in his mind. We can't let that man get away, otherwise both he and Zhao Mingyuan will be doomed. However, he never expected that the person who ran into him and Zhao Mingyuan was He Manxiang.
Manxiang.
Wang Yongsheng hadn't even put on his clothes yet, and was standing there at a loss. He Manxiang's mind went blank, and she looked like she had suffered a huge blow. She was unable to recover for a long time. And just at this moment, Zhao Mingyuan also came out. When he saw the pale-faced woman sitting on the ground, vomiting, a hint of cruelty flashed in his eyes. Wang Yongsheng could react. Zhao Mingyuan grabbed He Manxiang and strangled her neck tightly. How could He Manxiang have thought that he would do this? She was pinched so hard that her eyes rolled back. Wang Yongsheng was even more shocked. Mingyuan, what are you doing? Let her go. As he spoke, Wang Yongsheng tried to pull Zhao Mingyuan's hand away. But Zhao Mingyuan hated He Manxiang so much that he had long wanted to get rid of her. Today, she happened to run into the muzzle of the gun. How could he let go? We can't let her out, or we'll both be doomed. This place is so secretive, no one will find out even if she is killed. However, He Manxiang treats Wang Yongsheng differently after all. Firstly, she was his first and only woman, and secondly, she gave birth to a son for him. How could he possibly watch Zhao Mingyuan strangle her to death? He Manxiang didn't want to die either, so she looked at Wang Yongsheng with pleading eyes and barely squeezed out 2 words from her throat. Help! Help! Seeing her pleading look, Wang Yongsheng immediately ignored everything and followed her example, strangling Zhao Mingyuan's neck with his arm. He gritted his teeth and said, "Let him go." How could Zhao Mingyuan have thought that he would treat him like this? His face was full of disbelief as he stared at him. Wang Yongsheng didn't dare to meet his gaze, but he refused to let go and still held his neck tightly. The feeling of suffocation soon made Zhao Mingyuan lose his strength. In the end, I could only let go reluctantly. He Manxiang finally breathed in some fresh air and suddenly burst into a violent cough. Seeing this, Wang Yongsheng quickly let go of Zhao Mingyuan and went forward to support He Manxiang. "Manxiang, are you okay?" He Manxiang was almost strangled to death just now. She was so frightened that she lost her soul and couldn't stop shaking all over. Wang Yongsheng felt so distressed that he kept rubbing her back. Zhao Mingyuan looked at Wang Yongsheng's nervous face, and his eyes suddenly turned bloodshot. He almost strangled him to death just now because of this woman. Wang Yongsheng felt Zhao Mingyuan's resentful gaze and knew that he had to appease him immediately, otherwise He Manxiang might suffer at his hands again. Thinking of this, he said to the two of them, "Let's have a good talk." He Manxiang experienced the shock of discovering the truth and the terror of being almost strangled to death. Now that she was protected by Wang Yongsheng, she quickly calmed down. She couldn't divorce Zhao Mingyuan, even if he liked men, but not her. After all, he is the future richest man. "Mingyuan, don't kill me. I won't tell anyone. I love you even if you don't like me and only like men. I won't divorce you. If you like Yongsheng, then I agree. You can bring him home anytime, so you don't have to worry about being seen outside." He Manxiang immediately expressed her sincerity, and no one would doubt her words when seeing her sincere look. He Manxiang's words were indeed sincere from the bottom of her heart. She married Zhao Mingyuan just for his status as the richest man? Now that she had such a big handle on him, she was completely relieved. After all, in this conservative era, if his habit were discovered by others, he would be doomed. If I could provide him with cover, maybe he would still remember her kindness. Besides, his own biological son is registered in the Zhao family's household registration. His future property can only be inherited by her son. No matter how you calculate it, this is a good deal. Hearing this, Zhao Mingyuan looked at He Manxiang with suspicion. Could she be so kind? Just vomited. So how could she accept his relationship with Wang Yongxing so easily? Manxiang continued, if you don't believe me, let him go home tonight. I can sleep on the floor and give you my bed. After saying this, she looked at Zhao Mingyuan with tears in her eyes again. I know you definitely don't want this to happen. After all, liking a man is not something you can control. Whether I accept it or not, our relationship has become like this. I can only think in a positive way. At least I am still your wife. To deliver this speech, He Manxiang used almost all of her acting skills from her entire life. Plus, she was really nice to Zhao Mingyuan on a daily basis. Not only was she gentle and considerate, but she also never fought back or retaliated when he hit her or scolded her. Therefore, Zhao Mingyuan finally believed what he said. Wang Yongxing, who was still hugging He Manxiang, felt both happy and sad. The good thing is that he and her story can finally be spoken openly, but the sad thing is that she loves Zhao Mingyuan so wholeheartedly that he probably won't be able to stand by her side in this life. But this is already the best result. Thinking of this, he turned around and coaxed Zhao Mingyuan. Mingyuan, please listen to Manxiang on this matter, okay? I'll come to see you in the evening. Although it was a pity that He Manxiang didn't like him, it didn't matter. As time went by, he didn't believe that he couldn't win her over. Zhao Mingyuan was still somewhat reluctant, but there was no better way at the moment. After all, if you kill someone and the truth comes out one day, you will die too. Even if you are lucky enough not to be caught, you will live in constant fear for the rest of your life. After much thought, He Manxiang's method is actually the safest. After all, she was his legally married wife, and with her protection, he didn't have to worry about others' suspicion. Oh well. After thinking for a moment, Zhao Mingyuan finally agreed. He Manxiang and Wang Yongxing both breathed a sigh of relief. Because Wang Yongxing had a clear path with He Manxiang, he became more and more unscrupulous in the following days. During the day, he was either trying to please He Manxiang or coaxing Zhao Mingyuan. But at night, he could only be with Zhao Mingyuan. The main reason was that Zhao Mingyuan guarded against He Manxiang like a thief and basically didn't give Wang Yongxing any chance to get close to her. He Manxiang could only listen to the two grown men talking in the corner, wishing she were deaf. However, she also felt how deep Zhao Mingyuan's feelings for Wang Yongxing were. Because of this discovery, she directly encouraged Wang Yongxing to coax Zhao Mingyuan so that he could do business quickly. She also promised that after the matter was accomplished, she would give him what he wanted. Wang Yongxing had been kept in suspense for so long that he couldn't stand it anymore. Without He Manxiang telling him, he wanted to get Zhao Mingyuan away. After hearing He Manxiang's ambiguous words, after a sweet romance with Zhao Mingyuan, he really did as He Manxiang said and began to coax Zhao Mingyuan into doing business. Zhao Mingyuan had Wang Yongxing all to himself during this period of time, and he felt so comfortable all over that he agreed to Wang Yongxing's words in a daze. When he realized what he had agreed to, he was immediately frightened. After all, Lin Yaoqing's previous experience is still here. If he goes to the black market now, isn't that courting death? Don't worry, I'll go with you. Nothing will go wrong. Wang Yongxing was also afraid of being caught, but he was short of money and could not immediately take out money to buy things for He Manxiang. The black market has always existed, and there have always been people doing business. There are only a few people who can be caught. Wang Yongxing felt that Lin Yaoqing was caught because he was extremely unlucky. If he were in his place, he definitely wouldn't do it the same way. When Zhao Mingyuan heard that Wang Yongxing wanted to go with him, he gritted his teeth and said nothing more. He Manxiang saw that Zhao Mingyuan agreed. She was so excited that she almost jumped up. She wasn't worried at all that he would be caught. After all, he is the richest man. He must have extraordinary vision and means to have earned such a huge fortune. Agreed to do business in the black market, soon regretted it. Because Wang Yongxing's so-called companionship with him was just to keep watch outside and let him go to the black market alone. I have to share the money I earn with him. But his slight regret was quickly soothed by Wang Yongxing's sweet words. Zhao Mingyuan was completely dominated by Wang Yongxing and was completely devoted to him. Even the risks of going to the black market were gradually put behind him. But Zhao Mingyuan had just arrived after all, and his vision was not very good. Although he made some money, it was not much. After he got on the right track, Wang Yongsheng found that the risks were indeed smaller than he had imagined, so he gradually relaxed. During the few hours that Zhao Mingyuan went to the black market to resell things, he quietly slipped back to the Zhao family and was intimate with He Manxiang. After He Manxiang learned that Zhao Mingyuan was a man-lover, she no longer had any thoughts about him. On the contrary, when I heard how brave Wang Yongsheng was at night, I was gradually attracted to him. In addition, he was the father of her child, so she got together with him without any resistance. In this way, Zhao Mingyuan worked hard and suffered fear in the black market, while He Manxiang and Wang Yongsheng became more and more sweet at home. Qiqi heard about the strange relationship between the three people and told Lin Wanshu in vivid detail. Lin Wanshu no longer knew what expression to make. As Qiqi entered the space for a longer time, Lin Wanshu's control over her became stronger and stronger. In other words, Qiqi has gradually integrated into the space and is showing a tendency to become a part of it. Because of this reason, Lin Wanshu also gave her a little freedom. Allow her to see the outside world occasionally. Wan, who are they? Why are they asking me to stare at them? I don't know if it's because Qiqi has gradually merged with the space, but her voice is becoming more and more childish, and she is becoming closer and closer to her. You don't need to keep an eye on him, he's not important. Come back and help me look after the lab. Lin Wanshu is now becoming more and more adept at using Qiqi. Upon hearing this, Qiqi came back obediently to help her record the experimental data. Without complaints and resistance, she is now soft and cute. However, Lin Wanshu still didn't completely let down her guard. She would probably be able to give her more trust only when she no longer posed a threat. Lin Wanshu no longer paid attention to what happened to He Manxiang and the other two. There is no wall that is impenetrable in this world. If they continue to act this way, something bad will happen sooner or later. The holiday was already halfway through, and Qin Yan also found the things left by Sun Haidao. Lin Wanshu took a look and found that most of them were Taoist books. From astronomy to geography, from elixir to magic, Taoist classics cover all aspects. Maybe all the books in their entire gym are here. No wonder he hid it so well. In this special era, if these things were discovered, he would be in big trouble. But Lin Wanshu knew very well that these things would be priceless treasures in the future. Looking at the piles of books in the space, Lin Wanshu felt extremely fortunate that these books were not damaged. Finding the books, Qin Yan visited an old comrade in the eastern province before returning to Ling County. We arrived at the county town. Although the distance from the county town to home is not short, it is nothing to Qin Yan. Getting off the car, he didn't stay and went straight towards home. But not long after he walked out of the county town, he suddenly stopped. Away from him, there was a chaotic noise coming from this moment.
Run.
The inspection team is coming. Get out of the way. Don't block my way. Duck. Stop pulling me. In the black market, Zhao Mingyuan made a big deal today. If it succeeds, he can earn 300 yuan in one go. That's $300. He can't even make that much money in a year. In the black market came too easily. Zhao Mingyuan was so greedy that he didn't care about the risks. Grit your teeth, make up your mind, and just do it. But he never expected that he would be so unlucky today and run into the inspection team. What he could not have imagined was that Wang Yongsheng did not even notify him. Didn't they agree that he would do the business inside, and he would keep watch outside? But at this moment, he didn't have time to think too much. The fear of being caught by the inspection team made him run away in panic along with the crowd. Fortunately, he was located at one of the exits of the tunnel, so he had a much better chance of escaping than others. However, at a critical moment of life and death, how can the people inside still have any moral principles to talk about? Everyone was pushing and shoving him, and he was pushed to the side when he finally reached the exit. Was so angry that he started cursing. Just as he finished cursing, someone grabbed his collar and pulled him back. Get out of here, you piece of shoot. Zhao Mingyuan was hit so hard that he saw stars and his face was bruised and swollen. The shouts and hurried footsteps behind me were getting closer and closer. Stop. Don't run. More people continued to flock here. Realizing that he would be caught if he didn't run, he squeezed towards the door. Fortunately, this time, he finally squeezed out. The moment he went out, the inspection team behind him also chased to the door. How could Zhao Mingyuan dare to stay? He ran for his life. The one in front. Stop right now. The inspection team quickly rushed out of the tunnel and caught up. However, there were many other people who were escaping together, and the inspection team was busy arresting other people and could not pay attention to Zhao Mingyuan. Just when Zhao Mingyuan thought he was lucky enough to escape the pursuit, suddenly, his knee was hit by something. The severe pain made him stagger, and he fell forward heavily, falling flat on his face. Sudden change left him no time to react before his hands were suddenly grabbed behind his back. Don't move. Be quiet. It's from the inspection team. When Zhao Mingyuan realized that he was caught, he felt cold all over. Not far away, Qin Yan saw Zhao Mingyuan being arrested, then turned and left. Not long after he left, the black market, which had been noisy, returned to its tranquility. In the Red Star Brigade, He Manxiang and Wang Yongsheng had just finished spending time together and were now talking sweetly in low voices. Because they were at Zhao's house, they were afraid that Lu Jihua would find out if they spoke too loudly, so they both spoke in whispers. When Mingyuan finishes today's job, I will buy you a watch. Who was satisfied, was very generous. He hugged He Manxiang and said sweet words to her. He Manxiang felt that her current life was like a dream. On one hand, Zhao Mingyuan earned money for her to spend, and on the other hand, Wang Yongsheng worked to keep her bed warm. Days like this are happier than those of being a god. When she thought about how Zhao Mingyuan could make more wealth for her in the future, she would wake up laughing in her dreams. Fortunately, she married Zhao Mingyuan early. Otherwise, such a good life would have belonged to Lin Wanshu. You said so, then I'll wait. Zhao Mingyuan remained stingy with her, but fortunately, Wang Yongsheng was there. Not only did he speak nicely, he was also generous to her. He Manxiang's heart is now completely on Wang Yongsheng. When she heard that he was going to buy her a watch, she used all her skills to serve him until he was completely obedient. Wang Yongsheng was so obsessed with women that he even forgot to pick up Zhao Mingyuan. Just when the two were being affectionate with each other, the door was suddenly pushed open from the outside. The two were startled and thought it was Lu Jihua, so they hurriedly pulled the quilt to cover themselves. But just as I covered myself with the quilt, I turned around and looked in the moonlight and found that the person standing at the door was actually Zhao Mingyuan. Phew, I was so scared. Why didn't you knock on the door when you came back? Wang Yongsheng said with some displeasure. Zhao Mingyuan sniffed the unusual smell in the air. His eyes turned red. Hee. Wang Yongsheng, is this what you said about protecting me? Looking at the two people on the bed, his voice was like ice that had not melted for 1,000 years. Zhao Mingyuan was caught by the inspection team tonight. He originally thought that he would be locked up and sentenced like Lin Yaoqing. But unexpectedly, an accident happened on the way back. He took the opportunity to escape with a few others. Although he successfully escaped, he was also badly injured. Not only was his leg injured, but he was also bleeding a lot. He finally returned home, only to find that the person who claimed to keep watch for him and protect his safety secretly ran back to hang out with He Manxiang. No wonder he didn't see a single person, even though all the inspection team members had arrived. So that's how it is. At this moment, Zhao Mingyuan felt like he was a stupid joke. He was working so hard and risking being caught to earn money, just to support this couple. Wang Yongsheng, are you worthy of me? Zhao Mingyuan asked with tears in his eyes. Wang Yongsheng's eyes flickered, and he didn't dare to meet his eyes. Mingyuan, I know that what I did was a little bit unkind, but I am a normal man, and sometimes I can't help thinking about women. Can't you understand me? Understand? Zhao Mingyuan laughed again. I almost got arrested and injured, and you want me to understand? What are the sins he suffered? It was clearly he who asked me to go to the black market, but in the end I had to bear all the risks while he was just enjoying himself. Hearing that Zhao Mingyuan was almost caught, He Manxiang was shocked. Without even bothering to put on her clothes, she hurriedly got out of bed. Mingyuan? You said you ran into the inspection team just now?
How are you?
Are you okay?
He can't be caught.
If he is arrested, how can I live a life of wealth and glory in the future? He Manxiang's reaction was beyond Wang Yongxing's expectations. I didn't expect that the woman who was so affectionate with me just now would be so caring towards another man in the blink of an eye. This made him feel very uncomfortable, even if this man is not normal. Zhao Mingyuan looked at the various marks on He Manxiang's body, and suddenly his blood boiled. Unable to hold back, he walked up and grabbed her neck.
Which?
I told you to charming my man. Go to heck. Wang Yongxing saw that the situation was not good and was afraid that the matter would get out of hand, so he hurried forward to comfort Zhao Mingyuan. Mingyuan, calm down. You can't strangle her to death. If you do, you won't survive. Listen, don't be stupid, and let go. For fear of angering others, he did not dare to stand on He Manxiang's side this time, and spoke with an expression as if he was thinking about Zhao Mingyuan. Zhao Mingyuan's feelings cannot be understood by the world. Wang Yongxing is like his life-saving straw. As long as he is a little bit nice to him, he will throw himself into the fire. Therefore, Wang Yongxing just softened his tone slightly, and his hand loosened subconsciously. He Manxiang quickly broke free, shrank back into the bed, and trembled all over. Madman! This madman! Wang Yongxing breathed a sigh of relief when he saw Zhao Mingyuan let go of He Manxiang. Just as I was about to put my arm around his shoulders and say a few words of concern, I heard Lu Jihua's voice coming from outside. Mingyuan, it's so late. What are you guys arguing about? Is that which He Manxiang being disobedient again? Hearing this, the three of them were all shocked. Wang Yongxing was quick-witted and grabbed his clothes and climbed out of the window. As soon as he left, Lu Jihua came over. Didn't care what her son and daughter-in-law were like in the house and just barged into it. After looking at her son standing at the door and then at the He Manxiang, Lu Jihua was immediately furious and started to scold him. How do you serve a man? You let him stand here in such a cold day. He Manxiang was naked, and her mother-in-law came in and scolded her, but she didn't dare to say a word. After all, I was stealing someone just now. Thinking of this, she didn't care about being embarrassed or not. She went forward and pulled Zhao Mingyuan and said, Mingyuan, let's go back to bed. Zhao Mingyuan hated He Manxiang so much now that as soon as his arm was grabbed, he pushed her hard reflexively. Get out of my way. When he touched that slippery and soft body that was completely different from a man's, he felt nauseous physiologically. When Lu Jihua saw He Manxiang being pushed to the ground, she couldn't help but applaud. You can't even take care of a man. When He Manxiang heard her gloating voice, she suddenly became furious. At that moment, she was so impulsive that she wanted to tell everyone that her son was a useless waste. But when the words came to her lips, she swallowed them. Just bear with it. After all, I still have to rely on Zhao Mingyuan to live a good life. What's more, this old woman has to help me raise a grandson who is not related to me by blood. It's quite pitiful to think about it. But these are all her retribution. Lu Jihua felt so happy to see that she dared to be angry, but not to say anything. It was dark and Zhao Mingyuan had his back to the door, so she didn't notice that he was injured. He just warned He Manxiang a few words before turning around and leaving. Zhao Mingyuan looked at He Manxiang, who was lying on the ground. His eyes were dull, and no one knew what he was thinking. He Manxiang sensed his ill intentions and felt a chill in her heart. After all, he had nearly strangled himself to death twice in a row. Because Zhao Mingyuan was almost caught, the plan to go to the black market was put on hold. They had earned was lost because of the last delivery. After all this trouble, in the end it was all in vain. He Manxiang was extremely depressed. But she didn't dare to say anything, for fear that Zhao Mingyuan would suddenly go crazy and kill her again. Because Zhao Mingyuan was injured, Wang Yongxing did not dare to look for He Manxiang openly during this period. Instead, he turned around and coaxed Zhao Mingyuan. Soon, the two of them got together again and fought fiercely. Zhao Mingyuan was afraid that Wang Yongxing's heart would be completely attracted by He Manxiang. During this period of time, he tried his best to charming Wang Yongxing. Wang Yongxing only occasionally finds a chance to be with He Manxiang. The three of them maintained a strange balance. Soon, He Manxiang became pregnant again. No one knew why she came here to find Lin Wanshu to show herself. "I've been having trouble eating lately and have been feeling nauseous. Wanshu, can you tell me what is going on?" In fact, she had already consulted a barefoot doctor and confirmed that she was pregnant. But she just wanted to hang out with Lin Wanshu. Let her know that she is pregnant with Zhao Mingyuan's child. Lin Wanshu had just finished taking her pulse when she saw the smugness in her eyes and was immediately speechless. If she guessed correctly, according to the information provided by Qiqi, the baby in her belly is Wang Yongxing's again, right? I don't know what she is proud of, but this is their choice and has nothing to do with her. You are pregnant, but the fetus is not stable. Go back and have a good rest. Don't lift heavy objects. Probably because she didn't take good care of herself during the last confinement period, He Manxiang's body was seriously weakened. Lin Wanshu gave these instructions in a businesslike manner. He Manxiang looked at her calm face and suddenly felt suffocated. When she thought about how Lin Wanshu didn't know what she had missed, her heart felt like it was being gnawed by ants, and she felt extremely uncomfortable. But she couldn't tell anyone about her rebirth and had to keep it in her heart. After getting the medicine, she couldn't help but ask a question. If there's a man who will be very rich in the future and you should marry him, but you miss him, what will you do? Hearing this, Lin Wanshu finally raised her head, glanced at her, paused, and then said seriously, "I'm already married, and my lover and I have a good relationship. No matter how rich other men are, it has nothing to do with me. Whatever I want, I will earn it myself." Not only did she not get the answer she wanted, but she was also shown off. He Manxiang was extremely depressed. Just wait a little longer. After the reform and opening up, when Zhao Mingyuan becomes rich, she will be able to appreciate his envious gaze. With this mentality, He Manxiang said a few ambiguous words to Lin Wanshu. "You don't care because you haven't seen such splendor and wealth. Once you see it, you won't say that." After saying that, she got up and left. Lin Wanshu. The 3-month vacation passed in a flash as Lin Wanshu was busy, and the progress of her rheumatism medicine experiment was doubled thanks to Qiqi's help. In the last month, she has started giving this improved, directly ingestible medicine to her patients. Because it is a traditional Chinese medicine with high safety and the original formula has been used countless times, there is no problem for her to prescribe this medicine directly. Newly produced medicine is not only effective but also easy to use. Soon, more and more people came to ask for medicine. Even the director of the county's state-owned drugstore came to negotiate with her in person, wanting to purchase this rheumatism medicine from her. But how could Lin Wanshu have so many medicines to sell to him? In the end, I just told him that after the medicine was mass-produced, he could go to the provincial capital to get it. It turned out that the reputation of their pharmaceutical factories' drugs had spread, and many provincial drug depots came to purchase drugs from them. According to Su Chuyan, military wives used to only have to work 8 hours a day, but now they have to work overtime. But even so, the SPE pet of production still cannot keep up with the SPE pet of orders. It is imperative to expand the scale of pharmaceutical factories. This also requires Lin Wanshu to coordinate in the family compound. Therefore, with 7 days left in the vacation, the family of 4 set out to return to the army. Leaving, the villagers who had received the news were already waiting by the tractor. When they saw them, they all came over enthusiastically. "Meow meow, these are the tea eggs that Grandma Lu cooked. They are delicious. You can take them with you on the bus." "Wanshu, this is the dried fish I dried myself. It is fragrant and delicious when used to stew pork belly. Take it." "Thank you for curing my leg, Qin Yan's wife. I have nothing to repay you. Here are the meat buns I made myself. You can take them with you on the road." These days, Lin Wanshu has been working tirelessly to treat them, and the fees are much cheaper than going to the hospital. Everyone remembers it. Most importantly, she actually cured their ailments. Now that they heard that she was going back to the army, they all rushed over to see her off. Lin Jimin also heard that Lin Wanshu was going back to the army today, so he came to the tractor and waited early in the morning. And not only did he come, He was also carrying a bag in his hand, but he never dared to go forward. He thought a lot these days, from the time Tao Xianyan married him to the time Lin Wanshu broke off relations with him. Lin Jiamin suddenly realized that he was really wrong. If he had not allowed Li Xiuji to hurt Lin Wanshu, would she have broken off relations with him? But there are not so many ifs in this world. He did something wrong, so it's reasonable for her not to forgive herself. Looking at Lin Wanshu, who was surrounded by the villagers' enthusiasm, Lin Jiamin felt both bitter and relieved. At the same time, He Manxiang, who was carrying a dustpan and preparing to go to the fields to work, also saw this scene. Aunt Qilan, that's not necessary. You can take the dried fish back for your grandson to eat. Uncle Ma, this is too valuable. I can't accept it. Hearing her rejecting those enthusiastic offers one by one, He Manxiang felt mixed emotions. It was clearly herself who was reborn, so why was she still not as good as her? Sun Shifeng didn't expect that so many people would come to see her son and daughter-in-law off. She felt surprised and proud. However, despite her pride, she did not dare to let her daughter-in-law accept these things, so she helped to refuse them. This time when she came back, she had no plans to go to Yin province again. Although she had food and drink in the army, she had lived in her hometown for decades after all. She found it a little difficult to cope with being away from home for such a long time. What's more, she didn't want to be separated from her old man forever. Lin Wanshu also saw what her mother-in-law was thinking, but